At left tackle, number 79, Corey Woodruff. At left guard, number 55, Matt Heyer. At center, number 50, Andres Rosales. At right guard, number 66, Miles Landingham. At right tackle, number 62, Amari Beal. Our wide receivers, number 14, Rashad Brown. Number 83, Kobe Johnson. And number 81, Jalen Cook. And now for the starting lineup for the Hastings defense. On the defensive line, number 97, Kendall Oberheit. At nose guard, number 15, Abdul Murray. And number 9, Steele Willis. The linebackers, number 10.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Memorial Field in Sioux City, Iowa. It is the 8th game of the year for the Briar Cliff University Chargers as they play host to the Broncos of Hastings College. I'm Steve Toom, and Kevin Pottebaum joining me here in the broadcast booth today. Great to have you along for the ride, and I tell you what, it's a gorgeous day for football today. You couldn't ask for really much better weather for late October.
Oh, yeah, you always look at this time of year on the schedule. You never know what you're quite going to get. I mean, there have been games played in snow already in the area, and then all of a sudden we get just a picture-perfect day out here today. Great day for football. A little bit of a breeze down on the field, which might make it a little chillier for them. But, I mean, honestly, you'd rather have that than a hot day.
Yeah, sunny and 58. Could reach a high of 61 on the day. A little bit of a wind blowing here today, but it really has died down a little bit. Wind blowing from right to left across your stream. Wind coming out of the west. We'll monitor that as the flag blowing in the breeze here today. The Chargers come in with a 4-3 mark on the year. Meanwhile, for the Hastings Broncos, they are 2-4. And interesting to note, Kevin, that both teams coming off bye weeks.
Yeah, it's very strange to see. Hastings actually had 2 bye weeks on the schedule this year. They played one less non-conference game than a lot of other teams did. But, yeah, it's might as well just – I guess it was smart. You could have suited up last week. It was probably pretty good weather on Saturday last week, but couldn't get better than today. Hastings, though, you mentioned 2-4 on the year. This Broncos team was actually receiving votes in the national polls. They won their first 2 contests, looked very strong entering the season. And then the wheels kind of fell off there after week 2. And so see if they continue to improve as, the last 2 games, you got tough opponents in Morningside and Midland, and obviously Hastings was on the wrong side of that from where they'd want to be. But those are some quality opponents that they actually hung in there fairly well at times. But we'll see what they have here for store, especially coming off that bye week. Everybody's fresh, everybody's ready to go.
Briar Cliff coming off a loss at the hands of Morningside 2 weeks ago, 49-14 the score, and they were 2-1 in the previous 3 games. A win against Doane, 20-10, a loss, heartbreaking loss at Concordia by 2 points, and then a hard-fought defensive struggle at Midland, 13-7. And Midland, the last opponent that Hastings faced, and they got beaten badly, 61-20. So when you look at that common opponent in recent games, it does favor Briar Cliff. However, Briar Cliff dealing with some injuries. Tyler French out injured, the starting tight end, who's having a great year. He will not play today. And Cameron Davenport, one of the top wide receivers, he broke his left hand, so they switched him around to the other side of the ball. He'll be a backup defensive back. He may not be able to catch passes, but he can swat them away from the other team on the other side. Yeah. Nothing wrong with his legs and his speed.
Yep, yeah, against Morningside, they figured they just weren't going to play him. And then he did end up coming into the game on the defensive side late and did have a pass deflection, so he was able to show that he can do something defensively. And they're going to need some help defensively, especially in that secondary with Markel Roby. We see him on the sideline, not in pads today. He suffered that what looked to be an awful injury last week, or 2 weeks ago, I guess, against Morningside. Obviously, the stretcher had to come out to help him. It wasn't as bad as it might have seemed from the offset. He's walking around, he's feeling okay, but he's not going to be able to play. So hopefully Cameron Davenport, just adds another body to try filling in that role. That's going to be a huge loss not having Roby in that secondary.
And you mentioned Davenport, a big loss for the receiver corps. He was leading the team with 27 catches, but stepping up has been Rashad Brown, the junior out of Chicago. He has 17 catches on the year. Jalen Cook, he has 18 catches on the year. And Kobe Johnson with 16 catches. That's going to be the receiving corps today for Briar Cliff.
And another name in there is Tyler Levy. He looked really impressive against Morningside. He was kind of an unknown, but they used him a lot in the passing game against the Mustangs, and he had some effectiveness there. So a lot of these young guys are getting their chance to step up. every team says it, next man up, and the Chargers have definitely felt that this season.
And we talk about Hastings defensively. I talked with Coach Wagner about that before the game. They said they are a big play team defensively. They will take chances. They'll play a lot of man-to-man defense when it comes to their pass coverage. Now, they've given up some points because they've been beaten when they've taken some chances. High risk, high reward. The high reward is that they have 18 sacks on the year. That ranks number 19 in the country. So the Broncos can get pressure on the quarterback, but they will take chances. They will blitz. And, hey, sometimes when you blitz, you leave a man out on the island out there in the secondary, and they've been burned a few times.
The most impressive thing about that sack number when I was looking at the stats is they really don't have one guy that jumps out as far as sacks, and that you talked about those blitzes. It's difficult for for an offense, especially when you look at this Briar Cliff team. You have a true freshman quarterback who's only got one game under his belt, and then he dealt with an injury. He's coming back into the mix, and he's going to probably be seeing some exotic blitzes coming from the Broncos. How's he going to be able to handle it? How's he going to be able to communicate with his offensive line to get the protection needed?
Abdul Murray is the main sack man, 4 sacks. He's the 310-pound nose tackle and will be up to the offensive line for BCU. All underclassmen except for Amari Beal and Miles Landingham, something I talked with Coach Wagner about. He says outside of those 2 offensive linemen, everybody playing today will be back next year for Briar Cliff. So they have a lot of youth, 3 underclassmen on the offensive line, and all the skill players are underclassmen as well. So this could be a grooming year for these young men, getting them set for hopefully bigger and better things next season as the Broncos are making their way onto the field. BCU still in the locker room going over their last-minute instructions.
As it looks like, I think we are just about to start the national anthem, so we'll take a quick break off of this as the anthem plays.
Yeah, we will come back. We will have the national anthem played here at Memorial Field. Sunshine, 58 degrees, a bit of a wind blowing from right to left. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem. And with the playing of our national anthem, we are just minutes away from college football here today. Sunny Memorial Field, Sioux City, Iowa, along with Kevin Pottebaum. I'm Steve Toom, filling in for Justin Barker today. The Hastings Broncos, the opponent. Let's meet the starting lineups here for the Broncos. First, let's check out their offense. They have switched up quarterbacks from time to time, at times switching them on different possessions. But it's Isaiah Jackson, the senior out of Compton, California, getting the start today. He's thrown 7 interceptions, 5 touchdowns, 934 yards, completing just 46% of his passes. Ben Simonson will be the freshman starting running back for today, averaging 4.5 yards a carry, 360 yards, 2 touchdowns on the seasons. The H-back is Cole Otzen. He's a junior out of Scottsdale, Arizona, 220, 6'2". The wide receivers, Riley Ostendorf from Gothenburg, Nebraska, 6'2", 220, and a senior, 21 catches on the year, 1 for a touchdown. Amir Patton, a freshman out of Conroe, Texas, 5'8", 155, 5 catches. But the main man is Keoti Stenhouse. the senior out of California. 41 catches on the year, 3 touchdowns, averaging 13.5 yards per reception. The offensive line from left to right goes Garrett Clark, a junior out of Clay Center, Nebraska. Daniel Gonzalez, he's from Escalon, California, 260 and a senior. The center is Rico Santana from Tomball, Texas, 250 and a senior. Stephon Sherman, the big right guard, 310, a sophomore out of Highlands Ranch, Colorado. And from Burlington, Colorado, it's the senior John Satterley, 270 and a senior. That's the starting offense for the Broncos. For the starting offense for BCU, as the teams have the captains meet at the center of the field, it is Preston Mulligan, the freshman from Harlan, Iowa, starting 6'2", 195, and a freshman, 19 of 45 in the one game he played, 42% through 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, 181 yards passing. All running backs healthy today for Briar Cliff, and it's Greg Henry, the junior out of Rochester, Minnesota, getting the start. 6'1", 210, and a junior. He'll be backed up by freshman Jordan Williams out of Duncanville, Texas. Henry with 315 yards on the year. Williams with 267. The wide receivers are Kobe Johnson, the freshman out of Omaha. Jalen Cook, a sophomore out of Omaha. And Rashad Brown, a junior out of Chicago. A.J. Carrion gets the start at tight end today. He's a freshman from El Monte, California. The offensive line for BCU from left to right, Corey Woodruff, the sophomore from Sioux City East, 6'4", 330 pounds, and he is developing into one of the best linemen in the conference.
Yeah, you don't normally see in the GPAC last season, his freshman year, getting some all-conference accolades. So a lot of talent coming from that young man.
Matt Heyer starts at guard. He's a 260-pound freshman from the state of Washington, Asseton, Washington. At the center position, Andres Rosales, a 285-pound junior out of Bermuda Dunes, California. Miles Landingham, one of the 2 seniors on the offensive line. Boston City, Louisiana is his home. He's 275 pounds, stands 5'11". And then Amari Beal moves from a guard position over to the right tackle. He is a senior from Los Angeles, 6'3", 330 pounds. Last year, these teams played the 3rd game of the year, and it was BCU winning 26-14. It will be the Chargers to kick off.
Yeah, the Chargers won the toss, elected to defer. They're going to send that defensive unit that has been one of the best in the country out there to start this game.
Other games around the conference, Morningside at Dakota Wesleyan, Doane plays at Northwestern, Midland at Jamestown, and Concordia at Dordt. And, of course, we'll be keeping our eyes on the other scores from across the country. Of course, a big game happening up in Brookings with North Dakota State playing at South Dakota State. College game day up there today. And
yeah, I tried getting College game day to come here, and they picked that one over this one. I don't know what they were thinking.
Oh, and that one's off the face mask of the return man. That's a loose football, and covering it up is Stenhouse. Ooh, that was near disaster there for Hastings.
Yeah, Stenhouse has been just, he's the main guy in the passing game. He can catch it from the quarterback, but they're struggled off the kickoff. And fortunate for Hastings that they were able to fall on that ball, but now it'll be pushed back a little bit near the 20-yard line.
So the defense trots out onto the field for BCU. They're only giving up 15.5 points per game. Hastings only scoring 20.5 points per game as they'll work out of the shotgun set. And there's Jackson rolling out, and that pass, I think, might have slipped out of his hands, intended for Stenhouse, well short of the mark.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it slipped out of his hands, and it does look like that wind is picking back up. I wonder if that's going to be a factor. But you notice right away that this Hastings team is aware of the pass rush that comes from Briar Cliff. There they went with a rolling pocket, getting their quarterback moving to the right, trying to allow him some more time.
It's Marcus Tapp and Montique Edwards, Ricardo Torres, and Robert Robinson across the front wall will set the BCU rest of the defense here after this play. Here comes a man in motion. That's Brenton Bell. They're going to fake the handoff. Quarterback draw. It goes nowhere. Not even back to the line of scrimmage. Might have lost a half a yard.
Yeah, I think they lost a yard. Looked like he was right down at the 20. We'll see if they give him a little bit. They do kind of give him that 1 yard back to the line of scrimmage. But, yeah, nobody bit on that fake on the jet sweep, and he just got engulfed by, looked like 3 bodies from Briar Cliff.
Peyton Bailey, Robbie Huddleston, and Alexander Johnson, the linebackers. Mike Green and Dante Shipman, the corners. Zed Webster and Javon Woods, the safeties today for BCU. 3rd and 10. Jackson has time, throws over the middle, and it's incomplete over the head of Stenhouse. And he was bracketed by a couple receivers. I tell you what, if he catches that ball, there was a safety coming to, lay some wood on him there. That's a dangerous pass over the middle.
Javon Woods was out at the safety position. It looks like he's upset with himself for not making the interception, but he wasn't thinking about a turnover. He was thinking about lighting somebody up on that play. I don't think he would have been able to get that interception even had he dove for it.
Yeah, I think he was just a step or two away from it. So 3 and out for Hastings on their first possession. They'll bring out Ryan Hunter to punt. He stands inside his own 10, about the 6-yard line. Here comes some pressure, but he gets it away. That's a good punt. And it comes down to Brown. He runs to his left, looking for some blockers. Gets to midfield and into Hastings territory near the 49-yard line.
Right about where that ball would have been had it been intercepted on the play before. So we're right back to the square. But, yeah, using that wind at his back, really solid punt there, but didn't get as much hang time as he might have wanted, so it did give an opportunity for a return.
Hastings defensively will have Kendall Oberheide, Abdul Moray, and Steele Willis across their 3-4 front. 7 Roberson, Titus Clay, and Nathan Holdridge, the 3 linebackers. They actually go with 5 secondary men with Deron Jones at a safety, along with Caden Markham and Tyler Pulowski.
And it looks like there was a holding call on the Briar Cliff return, so that will put the Chargers 10 yards back onto their side of the field.
And then we have Audrice Dixon and Carlo Terrell at the corners for the Broncos. So holding on the return. You see that a lot on kickoff and punt returns. No surprise there. So BCU backed up, but still good field position. 1st and 10 Chargers. And they are at their own 42-yard line.
The first snap at Memorial Field as a Briar Cliff Charger for freshman Preston Mulligan.
He'll shift things around, move an H-back to stand next to him, scans the defense, 4 down linemen. Now back into a pistol set. Play action. Rollout. Mulligan throws on the run, penalty flag, caught by the H-back. That is number 42, Austin Gutierrez, a former offensive lineman, catches it at the 46. But I think this one may be coming back. There probably is a hold.
Yeah, it looked like a hold in the backfield, but it's one of those where the coaches probably aren't going to be terribly upset about that hold, because I think if it wasn't for grabbing the defender, Mulligan would have been going down. Much rather limit the hits on your quarterback. Sometimes as an offensive lineman, you just got to salvage what you can.
So BCU will be backed up, and they will have another first down, but this will be 1st and 20 instead. Back at their own 32-yard line, so Chargers going the wrong way here. Movement on the line. Everybody stays set. Mulligan taking his time. One back behind him. They're going to hand it off. And it's up the middle. Not much of a gain there. They tried a misdirection play and didn't fool anybody on the Hastings side of the ball.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that might open something up later, though, because everybody on that Hastings front crashed down into the middle to stop the run up the middle. And they did try to fake that a wide receiver might go for a reverse play afterwards. And, that might be something where later we see the same look, but the wide receiver gets the ball.
So 2nd down and 20. One back standing behind Mulligan. He'll drop back to throw. Being pressured, stands, throws, caught. Brown at the 42. He stopped right there, but that's a good gain on the play, back to the original line of scrimmage.
And I saw there was a stunt there by the defense, and pressure started to come in, and Mulligan was smart to get rid of that football before taking a hit. But this is where it's going to be, that freshman quarterback. Can he, relay the message to his offensive linemen of where his guys need to be to keep him protected?
So it'll be 3rd down and about 9 for BCU on the gain of about 11. See if Mulligan can dig him out of this hole. Sends Brown in motion on the right side of the formation, and we've got movement. That's Corey Woodruff.
Yeah, getting a little antsy. Again, that pressure was starting to be shown, and Mulligan was trying to draw the defense off sides, and instead he drew his own man.
That's a pretty good hard count then. That's not kind of what you want to see.
Yeah, this is not a situation for this Briar Cliff offense. Down in distance being, 3rd and more than 10 really limits the playbook for a team that has struggled to move the chains.
So it'll be 3rd and 14, 12:02 left, first quarter, no score. You hear the wind in our microphones as it picks up. Pass over the middle, incomplete, intended for Brown at about the 48-yard line. Breaking up the play defensively there was Jones, strong safety.
It looked like Brown had some space, but I think the timing was off because he got jammed at the line of scrimmage by the defensive back. Just slowed down that route just enough where Mulligan just threw that timing route. The receiver wasn't quite there. Like we said, had it been completed, would have moved the chains.
So a punting situation for BCU, and it will be Robert Robinson to kick it away.
Scariest punter in the NAI, that's for sure.
Yeah, the defensive lineman will drop back. Good snap. The left-footed kicker gets it away, and it'll take a BCU bounce right to the return man, and down he goes.
That was a brilliant punt. You had a wind just blowing in your face, and you have a defensive lineman who hasn't kicked a punt all year, keeps it low, gets it moving forward so that off the bounce it keeps going back, and then great coverage there by the Chargers to bring the return man down immediately.
So the Chargers defensively will have Hastings backed up inside their own 20 at the 19-yard line.
Briar Cliff's got to be the only team in the country that has a separate punter and kicker that are both left-footed, with Nick Montana doing the kicking.
You don't see that too often. Pistol formation, man goes in motion. BCU shifts on the line. Play action. Jackson wants to throw the long ball down the sideline. Got a man, and it's short of Stenhouse at the 40. I wonder if the wind knocked that down right when it got there.
Yeah, you know, the wind was at their back last possession. It's kind of moving a little bit. Right now, it's not really going in favor of him. It was more right to left of the quarterback as he threw that. And, yeah, I think the wide receiver, having last possession, had that wind moving the ball forward. I think expected that, and instead it kind of moved from right to left, and he overran it a little bit.
Stenhouse was open, and that pass been on target. That would have been trouble for BCU. 2nd and 10, 11:39 left. First quarter, no score. Second possession of the game for Hastings. Jackson's got time. He throws, and that looks like it's incomplete. A little short of the receiver, Ostendorf, who went down, tried to scoop it off the turf, just couldn't quite do it.
Actually, a really well-thrown ball. The quarterback running to his left, having to go cross-body, and he was able to put it in between three defenders, but a little too low for his man to be able to pull it up.
So 3rd down and long coming up with 11:36 left on the 19-yard line. Just underway, first quarter, no score. And Jackson will take his time, has one running back standing to his left. Play clock, still plenty of time left, 17 seconds. Takes the snap, has some time, rolls out, wants to throw on the run, almost intercepted.
Yeah, the quarterback just took too long to throw that ball, allowing Dante Shipman to come back into the play, and almost an interception that could have potentially been 6 for BCU.
Yeah, the intended target was Keoti Stenhouse, and boy, what a play by Shipman as he was just flying in there like a rocket and had all this momentum going. The question is, 1, could he hold on to it? 2, could he keep his momentum from taking him out of bounds? If he stays in bounds, that could have been a touchdown for BCU. Now the punting situation as Hunter comes back onto the field. 47 attempts coming into this game, averaging 35. That's a low line drive one, and it's going to bounce away from all the return men, and it'll be down at the 49-yard line. Considering how that punt started off, that's actually a good result for Hastings.
It's probably not a terrible result for Briar Cliff, too. I think the wind pushed that from right to left. Had that stayed in the middle of the field, that easily could have hit the back of a Charger and possibly been disastrous for the Cliff. So that wind is picking up and starting to play a major factor right now. Again, it's kind of blowing right at our camera right now. So the Chargers with their offense, you know, for Preston Mulligan at quarterback, if he's going to throw a pass, he's probably going to have to throw it, you know, a yard or two to the left of where he's wanting it to finish off.
Yeah, or throw it towards the right sideline. You have to have just there because the wind now coming more out of the south where it was more out of the west about 15, 20 minutes ago.
See if the Cliff can set up the run game here.
And they'll want to throw. Quick pass. It is caught. Nice little move out there by Rashad Brown. He'll get about 8 yards on the play, maybe 9 depending on the spot. But Mulligan threw a nice short pass.
And Mulligan had to give everything he had because I swear it almost looked like that ball just stopped in midair going up against that wind. It came out firing out of his hands, and that wind really slowed it down.
Greg Henry at the running back position. He'll be in the pistol part of the formation here. 3 wide receivers out to the right side. Gutierrez comes in motion. Now stops. See if they'll hand the ball off. No, they'll throw a bubble screen. It goes to nobody. Boy, there was a traffic jam over there. Brown wanting a flag, but none forthcoming there as they tried that bubble screen to the right side, and credit the defensive backs there for Hastings.
Yeah, he was grabbed onto, but he was behind the line of scrimmage, so it was a legal play by the defense. But you got Greg Henry, who's a big boy back there. Short yardage situation. I just want to hand it to him, especially when you have a former offensive lineman in Gutierrez in front of him. Let those boys eat and try getting a run here for the first down.
Of the H-back, they'll send a man in motion across the formation. And it'll be a handoff, and this is Henry, and he's got the first down, and he's still going all the way to the 30-yard line. I don't know. I think they thought his knee hit down at the 35, but he kept going. I think he avoided that knee going down, and that's a first down for Briar Cliff on a big power run all the way to the 29.
And that's what happens when you have that fullback out there. That hole was just wide open. Henry cut at the outside and got the first down and a whole lot more.
Kreger Clark in there blocking, the sophomore tight end out of Frederick, Maryland. He checks out. First down, BCU. Play action. No, they're going to hand it off. And Henry, oh, look at the stiff arm.
Yeah, he looked like he was the defender on that one. Just stuck that arm and basically threw his defender to the ground. Makes it a second and short opportunity here. Looks like inside the red zone now are the Chargers.
Yeah, they'll power all the way to the 20-yard line, second down and 1. Greg Henry missed a couple games with injuries, but he is back. He'll be in the back part of the backfield, pistol formation. Gutierrez, the H-back to the right side. They'll hand it off to him again, and he will have a big hole to the left side. He's to the 10, to the 5, into the end zone. That's a 20-yard touchdown run for Greg Henry.
It almost looked like there was a little miscommunication on the handoff, too. It didn't look clean, but if anything, I think Henry was looking to go right down the middle. That handoff kind of slowed him down, but ended up working in his favor as he was patient enough to see that something had opened up on the left side. Runs that direction and goes to the house.
And BCU scores with 9:10 left to go in the first quarter. Nick Montana will try the point after kick. Jalen Cook is the holder for the lefty. Snap on target. Oh, a little trouble putting it down, but he got it through.
That was a great job by the holder to get that one in. That kind of fluttered back and looked like it was going to be difficult. And Montana, also a good job by the kicker to just keep your momentum and stick with your kick. If you try delaying a little bit, giving your holder more time, you're just going to allow that defense to get in there and block it. But instead, just keep it. Trust that your holder will get it down in place, and he did. And, you know, it's in games like this, those one-point PATs can be the difference maker. So a good job there by the special teams unit.
Midland ahead of Jamestown. 7 minutes left to go in the first quarter. 7-0. A game being played up in Jamestown.
Ooh, I wonder if did you see the Jamestown Concordia field when those two played?
No, I did not. How bad was it?
It was 90% mud.
Ooh.
And I believe it went like 4 overtimes.
Oh, wow.
And I was watching the stream at home just thinking, man, I am glad I'm here and not at that game. But those games are so fun, but it also makes us appreciate this field turf.
Absolutely. And this is, I believe, the third year for the field turf here at Memorial, and they've really done a good job of maintaining it. I think it was an excellent upgrade here at this facility, and there will be more upgrades coming over the next few years. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we got the kickoff coming. It's a low-line drive, and it's off the hands of the return man. He's inside the 5, and he's in trouble, and he's going to be brought down inside the 5-yard line. And that's Amir Patton, who had trouble handling it. And again, another mistake on the return game for the Broncos.
And Hastings' offense has already had some issues. I don't think they even have a yard on their first 2 drives. And now you put yourselves inside your own 5-yard line. You know, when you look at it, there's 3 things that you need to win. You got to win offense, defense, and special teams. And I think right now, special teams easily in favor of BCU.
So 1st and 10 from the 3-yard line for Hastings. 9:02 left, first quarter. Chargers up 7-0, and the Broncos operate in the shadow of their own goalpost. See if BCU can get some pressure. Hastings plays it safe. They'll hand it off. And going really nowhere is Simonson.
The ball carrier.
And he will get nothing, maybe half a yard at that. The freshman out of Sutton, Nebraska, averaging 4.5 yards a carry, 78 carries, 360 yards coming into this game. He also has 4 catches as well.
Looked like Robert Robinson coming from his right DN position, looped around and was able to make that play. Good job by the rest of the defense to slow everything down and not allow the running back to get ahead of steam.
We'll talk about Robinson's stats, which are just off the charts defensively. They'll go back to the run up the middle, and that's Simonson. And he'll move it out past the 5 to the 8, so a decent gain there of nearly 4 yards.
First real push for that Hastings offensive line. And, you know, obviously getting out of the shadow of your own goal line is one thing, but also this field position and the fact that the Hastings defense, if they're going to get gassed if they keep having to go right back onto the field on these 3 and outs.
And not only that, but back with their, having to defend in their half of the field as well. Third down, about 5 yards to go out of the shotgun. Jackson being pressured. He's in trouble, and down he goes. Is that a safety?
I think he was just
Nope, he's at
outside
the
there,
one.
but it was Robert Robinson is the man again. He's doing it in the punt game, and now he's doing it on defense.
We'll talk about the defensive stats for Robinson coming into this game. 53 tackles, 7 sacks, an interception, and a whopping 16 tackles for loss in 7 games, folks.
And
that's all-American numbers.
And that interception went for a touchdown.
I tell you, I mean, if he continues at this pace, I don't know how you don't have him on the All-American team.
Yeah,
I really don't.
He has been an absolute stud on the defensive front, and they've dealt with some injuries to the defensive line, including Omar Dials. And they needed someone to step up, and Robinson's been that guy.
Oh, they almost got it, but a good punt away. It's going to bounce in front of Brown, and he'll collect it at about the 38, and all he has to do is just run down the sideline. He'll make a few yards, but that was a good job by Ryan Hunter, the punter for the Broncos, just to get that one away because that one was almost blocked.
Yeah, nearly blocked, and a good job there by Brown, too, knowing he wasn't going to pick that ball up and try to make the Superman play for a touchdown. Just, hey, the return unit's not down here yet. I can pick it up and pick up 3 or 4 yards. Anything helps the offense, so a great job just to help the BC offense, even by just a few yards.
And the main thing, just maintain possession. Again, you're right. Don't make the Superman play. Just make the smart play, the fundamental play. Get a few yards, get what you can, because he was bottled up along the sideline.
Yeah, you see a lot of guys who try to run backwards and see if they can't get to the other edge of the sideline, and usually that just ends up being worse for you, so a heads-up play there.
1st and 10 Chargers from the 29-yard line of the Broncos. And we got movement. And
by everybody but the center. So I'm thinking usually when that's the case, you don't blame the guys that are moving. You think maybe the guy who didn't have the cadence is the one that matters.
And that will be Miles Landingham, the right guard, flagged for that penalty, but I don't think he was alone in that particular one. You could have called out any of 3 or 4 numbers on that one.
He always has the field just turn around like, really, why me?
Why me, yeah. So it'll be 1st and 15 for BCU. They got a golden opportunity here with 6:51 left. First quarter, they're up 7-0, and great field position inside Hastings territory. Pistol set here, and it'll be a handoff and a big hole for Henry, and he'll get across the 30 to near the 26-yard line. Gain of nearly 8 yards on the play for Greg Henry, the junior out of Rochester, Minnesota.
Yeah, came in, had 42 yards on 4 carries heading into this drive, so there's, about a gain of 9. So he's already above 50 yards, and we're not even 10 minutes into this contest. He is having a phenomenal day here early.
And on a day where the wind is blowing, you may need to rely on that running game more, and that could provide opportunity for Greg Henry to have a big day for the Royal Blue and Gold. 2 receivers out to the right, 1 to the left. Play action, throws, incomplete, miscommunication. Brown, the intended receiver, he moved to the middle of the field, and Mulligan threw it more to the outside.
Yeah, you wonder if that's an option route where the wide receiver sees one thing and the quarterback sees another, so they're not on the same page. But, that run game has set that up because that play action pass, there was time for Mulligan and some opportunity for a big play, just didn't connect there.
So 3rd down and 6 coming up for BCU.
And 3rd downs Third downs are big and not terrible yardage here with a 3rd and 6, but you want to try limiting how many yards you expect out of a true freshman quarterback.
They'll send a man in motion out of the backfield. Mulligan throws, intercepted. That is Jones with the interception. He'll move across the 30 to the 34-yard line, and a turnover for BCU.
Yeah, just missed his man there again. There's some space in that middle of the field. The fear of the run game has opened up the middle of the field, but that one just overthrown by Mulligan. And that's Hastings needed that defensively. That not only were they able to stop Briar Cliff from scoring, but this is going to be the best field position they've had yet today.
Yep, they're at the 34-yard line, their own, and that's not a good stat when your best starting field position is at your own 34. Credit the BCU defense and special teams there, but Hastings has hurt themselves.
Yeah, negative 2 yards of offense for Hastings through the first 3 drives.
They'll operate 1st and 10. They'll hand off up the middle, and Robinson chases down the running back. And that is Smith, Dante Smith, the freshman out of Goose Creek, South Carolina. 25 carries for only 38 yards coming into this game.
We think it's absolutely gorgeous today, but I feel like coming from South Carolina, he probably thinks it's chilly.
Yeah, this is probably frigid weather down there. I was in South Carolina a couple months ago, and it's quite balmy down there. Jackson, wants to throw, nearly tipped out of his hand. He's going down. He is sacked back at the 30-yard line. Tapua with the sack. Asi Tapua, the backup sophomore lineman from Lake Stevens, Washington. That is his 2nd and a half sack on the year.
Yeah, Robert Robinson was in. Looked like he was going to go for a strip sack. Beautiful job by the quarterback to tuck that ball away, keep it safe, and escape Robinson. And then there was another Charger waiting for him in Tapua. So great job by the entire defensive front here so far by Briar Cliff.
That is the 19th sack on the year for the Charger defense. 3rd down and long. Swing out pass, caught by Smith. Here comes the defense. They'll bottle him in near the 35-yard line. And nothing doing there. 3 Chargers in on the tackle, led by Peyton Bailey.
4th down and 9 for the Broncos.
4th and 9 coming up in another punting situation for the Broncos.
Love the expression led by Peyton Bailey. I don't know that it's talked about enough, just the type of leader Peyton Bailey is for this defense, both on and off the field. Just a great character kid, and love to see him have success on the field. I know he had an injury early this year that they were worried he was going to miss a significant amount of time. Glad to see him back on the field.
Got a chance to talk to him with Media Day, and you're absolutely right. High-quality character young man. As here comes the punt. It holds up in the air, and it'll bounce away from Brown and take a Hastings bounce inside the 25 to near the 22-yard line. A wise play there by Brown just to let that one go. That took a tricky bounce. And as that ball was flying through the air, you could see the wind just slow it down right in midair.
Yeah, and just kind of make it a knuckleball up there that would be really tough to field. And it looked like the Chargers had a punt block set up. There were a lot of guys rushing the punter there. So you know you're not going to have the blocking. There's going to be a lot of defenders in your face. So wise idea just to stay away from that football.
So the Charger offense will trot out onto the field. At about the 23-yard line is where they'll set up shop. 1st and 10, 3:56 left, first quarter. Chargers up 7-0.
Yeah, the run game's been working here early for Briar Cliff, but still haven't really gotten Mulligan into the flow of things passing. We'll see what they try to do here.
Well, he'll operate out of the shotgun set. And at running back is Jordan Williams, number 30. He'll stand to the right side of the quarterback. 3 receivers out to the left. And he will hand it off. Williams has a nice hole across the 30 near the first down marker, following the block of number 62, Amari Beal. That'll be a first down. Move the chains for the Chargers.
Williams is an awesome change of pace back for Briar Cliff. You have Greg Henry out there, a big guy that's going to put his shoulder down right down the middle. And then you have Williams, the home run hitter. He had a 60-yard rush against Morningside. And if you let him on the outside, his speed is going to hurt you.
1st and 10, Chargers. 3.5 minutes left to go here in quarter number 1. They're up 7-0. Defense has been stout today. Mulligan will hand it off, and not much there. That's Williams as they try to misdirection play. Check that. That's Henry with the carry, and nothing much doing.
Loss of 1 on the play.
Lost a yard on the play.
And again, this offense, you know, they can't have those negative plays, those penalties, things to get them behind the 8 ball. It's had some troubles moving the ball, and with the wind, it's really going to affect the passing game. So you want to get in those third and manageables where the run is still an option.
2nd down and 11 for BCU. Hastings showing blitz, now some confusion, and BCU is going to have to call a timeout.
You know, we talked about it pregame. A lot of exotic defenses by this Hastings team, especially when you run a 3-3-5. You have so many different options you can do. Who's going to come down to the box? I like that decision. It's a big play. You want to pick up some positive yardage here. Make sure everyone's on the same page and know what they need to do.
Dort leading Concordia 7-0. 3.5 minutes left to go in the first quarter of that game. And we'll try to get some updates on the other action happening across the Great Plains Athletic Conference. Dakota Wesleyan playing Morningside today. Let's see if we can get a score on that game as we refresh the computer here. Chargers will be home next week against Northwestern, and that will be the final home game of the year for BCU.
It's Briar Cliff right now needing to finish out at least 2-2 if they want to get a winning season for the second year in a row. And like we talked about earlier, a lot of youth on this team. This could just be a springboard for, you know, some big-time years up ahead.
7-0, Morningside ahead of Dakota Wesleyan. That game being played up in Mitchell. Man in motion is Johnson. They'll throw a quick screen. That's Cook. He'll escape one man across the 40, pushed out of bounds near the 42-yard line. That's going to be a little shy of the first down marker.
But again, setting yourself up on a 3rd and short, so now the entire playbook is open. That's what this offense needs to make sure they do, is Greg Henry back in there, and he's got his big-bodied fullback Gutierrez in front of him. See if they just put the hammer down and try to run for that first down.
One would think a running situation here. They'll have the H-back and an extra tight end. That's Clark going in motion from right to left. High snap brought down, and that's Henry on the run, turns the corner. He'll have the first down, and what a job of improvisation there by BCU with that high snap.
He one-handed that thing. That was an Odell Beckham Jr. type catch by the quarterback just to keep the play alive. I mean, Henry gets the rushing yards, but credit Mulligan for bringing that one down and keeping the flow of the play.
Northwestern ahead of Doane after one period of play, 7-0 as we check the GPAC scoreboard. 1st and 10 Chargers from their own 47-yard line. Gutierrez moves in motion as the H-back. Quick pass, caught, Cook at midfield, gets a block. He's down to the 40-yard line. First down, Chargers. That little bubble screen out to the right side.
Well, they know the pass rush for Hastings is a strength, so when they are passing, it's a lot of quick plays getting that ball out of Mulligan's hand.
Dort now ahead of Concordia, 14-0. 2 minutes left to go in the first quarter of that game. BCU back to the line of scrimmage, handoff up the middle. Nothing doing there, maybe a yard for Greg Henry.
We're seeing a little more pace than we're used to with this Briar Cliff offense. When they got that first down, they hurried up to the line and got stuff set, ready to go. Like to see that with Mulligan, especially when a freshman comes in to take over the reins. You think it might try to slow down and simplify things. Briar Cliff's throwing him the kitchen sink as far as play calling out there.
2nd down and 9, 26 seconds left to go in the quarter. Chargers on the move. Once again operating in Hastings territory. They'll send Henry in motion. Middle screen, caught. That's Williams. He's got a hole. He's got some room. He's into the secondary. No one's going to catch him. Touchdown, Chargers.
There's that speed I talked about. I mentioned trying to get him on the outside there. Instead of the outside, they went with the screen up the middle. And if you watch the Hastings defensive linemen, they came rushing in, eyes just loving that quarterback, thinking they got in. And then you just see that moment where they realize, wait a minute, that might have been a little too easy. And at that point, it's too late. The play's behind them. Great catch by Williams, and really, those you get the big boys in front of you. It makes life a lot easier.
Yep, you get that speedy running back in the middle and some good blocking downfield by the wide receivers for the Chargers, and now they're up by 2 scores. 9 seconds left to go in the quarter, and here's the point after kick. It is on the way, and it is good. 9 seconds left, first quarter of play. Briar Cliff 14, Hastings nothing. Watching Charger football here on the Charger Sports Network, along with Kevin Pottabaum. I'm Steve Toom. Gorgeous day, a little bit of a wind you can hear in our microphones there, but so far a great start for BCU here, and Preston Mulligan gets his first touchdown pass.
Yeah, you know, as a quarterback, that's one I'm sure he'll remember. Mulligan last year was playing his football at Harlan, in Harlan, Iowa, had 30 touchdown passes his senior season, his lone starting year down in Harlan, and now he gets his first with the blue and gold, and always a special feeling.
Yeah, well, BCU's, they've got quite a few young men and women from Harlan, Iowa that have come here to play various sports. So
not a bad stomping ground to try recruiting from, that's for sure. I know, obviously Briar Cliff has a connection with Heelan, which is another team that plays on this field, and I'll tell you what, Heelan and Harlan, that's always a fun matchup to see in any sport, especially in football, though.
Here's Montana with the kick, short, end over end, and that one's cleanly handled by Hastings. That's Bell on the return, and he'll spin across the 30-yard line. I think that's the first kickoff return that's been cleanly fielded by the Broncos. They've had some issues there, and now they got some decent starting field position.
Yeah, Hastings still trying to cross midfield for the first time today. This Briar Cliff special team and defense has really done a phenomenal job of keeping the Broncos on their side of the field.
End of the first quarter, Dort 14, Concordia nothing. End of the first quarter, Morningside 14, Dakota Wesleyan nothing. First and 10 Broncos. Spread formation. Couple receivers out to the right, and they'll want to run it up the middle, and that's Smith with the ball, and he didn't get a whole lot. Fooled the first guy, but not the second guy. Dante Smith, the freshman out of South Carolina, will be credited with a 1-yard gain. And that's the end of the first quarter of play. Briar Cliff 14, Hastings nothing. Along with Kevin Pottabaum, I'm Steve Toom. You're watching Charger football on the Charger Sports Network.
Just go to bcuchargers.com and then just go to the football schedule.
Gabby Chavez and Bernice Semena. Let's give a round of applause for your 2019 Briar Cliff cheer dance team.
Yeah, just go to the right, click that one. Yeah, it's working fine for me.
Back here for the start of the second quarter, middle screen pass. It is caught by Smith and tackled for a short gain out to the 38.
I have it, so I'll read off stats. If you need stats, if you want to lead into something, just say it. I'll look it up.
Third down and about 5 coming up for Hastings as they operate here.
Broncos still looking for their first down of the game. Had 4 drives in that first quarter, but never able to move the chains.
BCU shifts on that defensive line, looking to bring some pressure. Here it comes, pass, caught. That's Stenhouse across midfield, makes a nifty move, tries to cut back, and there's that dangerous big play wide receiver. I think that's his first catch of the game. And he comes in with 41 catches, and he's just been dynamite all year.
Yeah, the Chargers had bottled him up pretty well up to that point, but nice little slant move there, got into an open space and hit right in stride.
First down, first of the game for Hastings. They had none in that first. BCU was 6. Here's a pass. It's over the head of the wide receiver. Incomplete. Stenhouse, the intended man at the 15-yard line. Shipman on the coverage. Checking out some of these first quarter stats. 0 yards of offense for Hastings in that first half on 13 plays. BCU 18 plays from scrimmage, 147 yards.
Yeah, that's tough to duplicate as Hastings getting the ball moving for the first time here today on this one. See if this Briar Cliff defense can bend but not break.
Second down, and here's a run. Smith goes nowhere. And he will be thrown back. Shipman in there, but guess who else? Big number 18.
I think that might be Robbie Huddleston. The 6 and 8s look a lot alike. Robbie Huddleston with the stop there, and I think he had the big stop on the run play on that last play of the first quarter. So Huddleston making his presence known to this Hastings offense.
And, of course, they have to always be on the lookout for number 18, Robertson.
There's a lot of guys on this defense that I'd be on the lookout for.
3rd down and 10. Quick screen pass, caught, and a nice little move there, and that will be near a 1st down for Stenhouse, but he's short. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go for it.
Yeah, with this wind, and it does look like the wind's at their back, but that's with how much it's going side to side, a field goal would be so difficult to try to make from this distance, and then you gotta leave the offense on the field here.
I think so. I would be making the exact same call. Tony Harper going to roll the dice here. 4th down and 1. Smith, the setback. He'll get the handoff, plow ahead, and I don't think he made it.
Bailey wrapped him up in the backfield and pulled him back, and the captain of that defense makes the big play on 4th down.
Wow, what a stand for BCU.
Yeah, the crowd giving some credit. Man, this defense has just been, I mean, obviously for any Briar Cliff fan, you know it's been the story all year. Heading into the Morningside game, the team was number 1 in total defense. Obviously, Morningside's a tough team to stop, but they're still a top 10 team in total defense. And Hastings is learning firsthand how they got to that point.
And you think 2 years ago when the team struggled, they were one of the worst defensive teams in the country, and what a turnaround in 2 years. We saw this coming last year. BCU defensively, one of the top teams in the land. Now their offense on the field, 1st and 10. They'll do a play action. Pass, tipped, incomplete at the 42-yard line.
So it looked like a lot of contact there, but I thought the same thing on the previous drive for Hastings on a pass deep. The officials are going to let the defensive backs be aggressive, so teams just have to be aware of that.
And that intended receiver, number 15, R.J. Harris, listed as a quarterback out of
it must not have been 15 because R.J. Harris, they have someone else wearing number 15. I'm not even sure who that is.
I wonder if that was Spencer Vogel.
Could have been.
We'll try to get an update on that. 2nd down and 10. Mulligan rolls out, being chased, throws on the run, incomplete. He was hit as he threw it, being pursued by Titus Clay, the sophomore linebacker out of Conroe, Texas, and he has had a standout year for the Broncos with 42 tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception. He's been the driving force of that Hastings defense.
Yeah, yet again trying a rolling pocket to avoid the pressure, but Hastings was still able to get there. So it's tough trying to figure out ways to keep this defensive front from getting to the backfield, and Mulligan did a good job of just getting rid of that football.
3rd down and 10 coming up for BCU as they operate, moving into the wind at this particular point. Well, it's kind of moving side to side across the field. Mulligan stands, throws, and it's beyond the reach of Rashad Brown at about the 37-yard line, incomplete.
Yeah, you don't know if wind affected that pass or if there was just a little bit off on the timing. I mean, we haven't seen Preston Mulligan with these offensive players since week 1, so you just don't know if that timing's quite there. And, you know, there's been a lot of injuries to the receiving core, and it's a work in progress, but I think Mulligan's done a pretty good job here today outside of the one overthrown ball that ended up in an interception. But now we'll see what Robinson can do with that left foot to help his defense get some better positioning.
He will have an opportunity here and gets away a high punt, hangs up in the air, bounces near midfield. Hastings wisely as a team runs away from it. It'll roll to the 42-yard line.
You know, coming the other way, he was against the wind, so he went with a low punt. Now with the field flipped, I think he just thought, well, now I'll kick it high and the wind will be helping me. But nope, it's one of those days where you flip sides of the field and somehow that wind is still in your face. So the wind just kind of knocked that one down, but still a pretty decent punt there from the defensive lineman.
We found out number 15 is Tyler Levy.
Levy. Yep.
Or Levy, I'm sorry. He switched uniforms here, so he's wearing number 15 today. Normally he's number 88 for BCU.
He was on the game day programs today rocking number 88 on our photo on it, so now we just look ridiculous.
First and 10, Hastings thrown incomplete. Skips in front of Stenhouse at the 48-yard line. Incomplete. Got some scores from major college football. Iowa, with 7 minutes left to go, is shutting out Northwestern 20-0. That game in Evanston. Ohio State running away from Wisconsin. 8 minutes left to go in that game. 31-7. Buckeyes on top. And Kansas State ahead of Oklahoma. 41-23. 2 minutes left to go in the third. Upset alert there in Manhattan. Manhattan, Kansas. Off-balance snap, throw, caught by one of the wide receivers. That's number 9 for the Broncos. That is Roberts. Griffin Roberts with the reception. Got a decent gain of about 6. Appalachian State leading South Alabama 21-0. Appalachian State ranked number 21, unbeaten on the year as they've moved up to FBS football. Pass, incomplete, shy of the first down marker. Little timing pattern. Edwards, the intended receiver, or Roberts rather, Griffin Roberts, the intended receiver, and fourth down coming up, and here's the punting unit for Hastings.
Hastings quarterback wanted to stay on the field. He was trying to lobby to go for it. But right now you're still on your side of the field, and you missed a fourth down opportunity last time around. I think this is the wise decision for the Bronco coaching staff to just punt this one away and try helping the defense out.
Maybe if you're down around the 30 or 20-yard line of BCU, you go for it. Mishandled snap, but a good punt away by Hunter. It'll bounce, and it will get into the end zone just barely.
That was a dang good punt right there. He got that one booming, but his guys just weren't able to pin it inside the 5. Fortunately for Briar Cliff, they'll get some breathing room there. That could have been trouble getting, you got wind in your face and pinned back. That can cause some trouble because, that wind it seemed like it was slowing down right before kickoff, and it has just continued to speed right back up today.
Dakota Wesleyan has picked off their second pass of the day against Morningside. 14-0 Mustangs in that game. First and 10 Chargers from their own 20 after the touchback. 2 running backs. It'll be a handoff. Williams, he's got a bunch of running room. He's down the sideline. He'll be shoved out of bounds by Jones, the last man defensively for the Mustangs. A huge gain on the play. Not the longest run of the year, but a darn long run down to the 45.
That's what he does. I'm telling you, he is a big play waiting to happen. Love seeing him getting more and more touches here as the season goes along.
Williams, his longest run of the year, 60 yards, 45 carries, 267 yards, 5.9 average coming into this game. And there he got 35. Mulligan looking to the sideline, has 9 seconds on the play clock. He'll change things up. Down to 5 seconds, 3 seconds, gets the snap off. Play action, rollout, has room, throws on the run, caught, and a gain there. Not enough for a first down, but a still good gain, and that's A.J. Carrion, the tight end out of El Monte, California.
Yeah, big shoes to fill, filling in for Tyler French, who's been an absolute beast from that tight end position this year, and gets his first catch on the day and a good positive gain.
Second down, and about 3 coming up. 9:50 and counting here in quarter number 2. BCU on the march, up 14-zip.
Time of possession really in favor of the Chargers here as well.
Handoff, that's Henry up the middle. And they're trying to rip that football out. No doing. He got 2 yards on the play. It'll set up 3rd and 1. And now the run package comes in as the receivers check out. Johnson and Brown. Gutierrez, Clark, extra tight ends in for BCU on 3rd and short.
Give Gutierrez the ball. Let that big man run. The fact that he was an offensive lineman for the squad last year, I want to see him just put his shoulder down.
Normally the blocking back. I wonder if they've got a play for him in the playbook. He will be a blocker here. Play action. Mulligan throws on the run. Tipped away, almost intercepted.
They wanted to give him the ball, though. They threw it to him.
Well, that was Clark.
Was it?
That was Craig Clark, the intended receiver.
I'm pretty sure. I think Gutierrez was the one. Clark was Clark was the shorter
Oh,
one.
it was Gutierrez. It was
Yeah.
Gutierrez. 42 and 43 there.
I
But
love the effort.
Tipping the ball away. Good job there by Pulowski, the freshman safety out of Pleasanton, Nebraska. He almost got the interception. BCU's going to go for it on 4th and 1. And that's
right,
Henry in the backfield.
No mess around now. Let's just
Yeah.
hand it off, run it down.
You bet. Follow Gutierrez. Clark goes in motion. And they're going to follow Gutierrez. That's a first down. And onto the 29-yard line. Gutierrez and Clark with the lead blocks.
I would give us credit for being geniuses, but when you have the offensive line and how they've been performing today, probably a pretty simple option on 4th down to say, you know what, we're going to leave them out there. Let's get that push. And again, great job by that offensive line, led on that left side by Corey Woodruff.
And he's just a sophomore, ladies and gentlemen. And he is probably going to earn all conference accolades when everything is said and done this year. 3 underclassmen on that offensive line for BCU as they operate 1st and 10 from the 29-yard line. Landingham calling out some signals on the line, and I think BCU is going to have to spend a timeout.
Yeah, that play clock was running low. That's the second timeout they've had to spend. But again, much rather use the timeout than lose those 5 yards if you let that play clock expire. And even worse, if you snap the ball without everybody being on the same page, that can be disastrous. So a good job there by the freshman quarterback not to try forcing the play.
Let's get some updates, scores for you here from around the country. Ohio State racing away from Wisconsin 38-7, 7.5 minutes left to go in that game. End of 3, Kansas State leads Oklahoma 41-23, and Iowa holding on still 20-0, 5 minutes left to go in that game at Northwestern.
And for some Briar Cliff athletics, back on campus at Faber Field, the women's soccer team is having their senior day contest, tied with College of St. Mary 0-0 through the first 45 minutes. Briar Cliff out shooting College of St. Mary 7-5 with a 3-1 advantage on shots on goal, but have yet to beat the Flames keeper.
And the volleyball team, women's volleyball, play Midland at 5 o'clock today.
Yeah, also their senior day, and a special one is they're going to be retiring number 22 in memory of Andrea Norton, the would-be senior who passed away this spring. So it's going to be an emotional night for the Chargers back home tonight. DeAndre
Collins-Jones in at quarterback now. He'll hand off, nothing doing there for Henry as he got stuffed at the line of scrimmage, actually lost a couple of yards. DeAndre Collins-Jones, junior out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Mulligan will come back out onto the field. Jones more the running quarterback.
Yeah, he was a wide receiver previously on the roster last year, so moving to the quarterback position, he's probably going to be that one that there's going to be a lot of read option plays set up for him when you see him on the field.
Second down and about 13. 7:35 and counting. Second quarter, Chargers up 14-0. 3 wide receivers into the game. Hastings showing blitz. Mulligan out of the shotgun. Stands tall, throws, got a man, and it's incomplete. Oh, off the fingertips of Cook. Oh, my. That had touchdown written all over it.
That was a good strike on the throw, but you almost wonder if he would have lobbed it. He had the receiver behind the defense. Oh,
yeah,
man,
a little
that
more
was...
air under that. I mean, that ball had zip on it, but that should have been caught by Jalen Cook, the freshman out, or the sophomore rather, out of Omaha. And boy, he's got to be sick to his stomach after that one. Third down and 13 for the Chargers. We got Gutierrez in the game. He'll go in motion. 3 wide receivers out to the right. He'll stay in and block. It's a screen pass, and it's going to be caught. And that's Henry with the ball. He's at the 20, and he's still on his feet, and he'll be shoved back, and he's dancing in midair.
I just love Corey Woodruff down at the 10-yard line blocking his guy. Corey Woodruff, that reminded me if you've ever seen The Blind Side, where he just blocks the guy basically all the way to the parking lot. Corey Woodruff just, man, what blocking by that young man. Again, the Sioux City West graduate stayed in town here in Sioux City and suiting up for Briar Cliff as everyone's waiting. I don't know if they're...
I think they were warning somebody on the sideline there for BCU. I think there were a little bit of jaw in there, and the referees are saying, hey, guys, back off. You know, let them play, and you're a spectator, and just keep spectating. So it's a 1st and 10 for the Chargers from the 16-yard line of Hastings. It's going to be a play action and a throw. Carrion with the catch, and he'll be down inside the 5 near the 3-yard line. They'll put his knee down right at the 3. That'll be enough. First and goal, Chargers.
That was a great grab, too. He really had to get up and reach for that one. And now get it inside the 5-yard line. See if they let the big boys eat again.
Mentioned other BCU sports going on. The cross-country teams at the Seminole Valley Stampede. That's happening in Cedar Rapids, Iowa today.
Yeah, I think those races got finished. I haven't gotten the results yet, but I know I got some messages from the coach. He seemed pretty pleased with his runners' performances.
Yeah, we'll try to get some updates here at halftime on the various activities going on. It's a sweep. It's Henry. He's going to the right, and he tries to muscle his way in, but he'll be stopped at the 2. That's where his knee went down. Greg Henry trying to tally another touchdown. He has one 20-yard run on the game. That's his 5th rushing touchdown, trying to add number 6. 5:20 and counting. BCU trying to extend this lead to 3 scores. They are knocking at the door. 2nd and goal. They're at the 2-yard line. And it's a play action in the throw, and it's going to be caught by Rashad Brown. Touchdown, BCU. His 2nd catch of the year for a touchdown.
Great strike again by Mulligan. And, I mean, that run game has been there, which is allowing that play action, giving Mulligan time to sit there and just strike that one through. You get those linebackers pulling up, having to respect the run. And there was a little bit of a gap there for Brown to get to, and a beautiful strike right to the chest in there for 6.
And Mulligan, his 2nd touchdown of the day. And now the point after kick coming up from Nick Montana. 20-0 at the moment. Cook, the holder, puts it down. It's on the way. It's angling, and it is no good. So with 5 minutes exactly left to go until halftime, it's Briar Cliff 20, Hastings nothing. This is Briar Cliff football on the Chargers Sports Network.
I don't know what your computer's up with. Not our stats not pulling through, but
Because that's where I hit, and I haven't had any issues. That's weird. Huh. Like I said, if there's anything you need to lead me in to talk about, just go for it.
5 minutes left to go until halftime. We are at Memorial Field, a gorgeous day for football. I'm Steve Toom. He's Kevin Pottabaum, and the Chargers are up 20-0. It's been a mix of the run and the pass so far today for BCU.
Yeah, Briar Cliff, 18 pass plays, 14 rush plays. The yardage, 109 on the ground, 118 through the air. So great balance here for the Chargers.
And as a coach, one would think Dennis Wagner has to smile at those results. When you can mix the pass and the run and be effective in both and chew up some clock, that's good things are going to happen to your football team. It's a squib kick. It's bobbled by one of the up men, number 13, and he'll get out to the 32-yard line. And that was Audrice Dixon, the freshman defensive back out there in special teams.
You could tell he was not necessarily one who's comfortable picking up that ball and running on the kick return. Sometimes you get running too fast and you realize you got to secure that football first. That could have been disastrous for the Broncos, but they're able to keep the ball in decent field position here.
Well, they'll be at their own 33-yard line, 1st and 10. Hastings, boy, they have got to get some points on the board before halftime or else they'll be in real trouble.
Yeah, especially when Briar Cliff's going to start the second half with the football. Really got to try closing down that gap.
They do have all 3 timeouts to work with, so they don't have to necessarily be in too much of a hurry as they've got a new quarterback into the game, and he's going to take off on the run and get a first down. And that is number 3, Samuel Pluggy, I believe.
And he's probably going to be a bigger running option, which is what they need heading into this drive. Hastings was sitting at -4 rushing yards for the game, so they're able to get their first first down on the ground, just their second of the game.
Normally, John Zamora has been their backup running back, but 3 is listed in our program as Samuel Pluggy. He'll work out of the shotgun set, send a man in motion. And that is a handoff up the middle. And that is Simonson, and he'll get about 3 yards maybe.
And you talked about the time of the clock. We're under 4 to play here in the half. If I'm Hastings, I think the plan that they have is if they do score, they want it to be right at the end of the period. They don't even want this Briar Cliff offense to have another opportunity before the break.
Yeah, if you're Hastings, you want to get points on the board and have it pretty much as time expires or as close as possible here at the first half.
Let that defense get some rest. They've been out the field most of today.
Yep. And I'm sure they're happy to have the first down, and we've got movement. And, yeah, this play's going to be blown dead.
It took a while for them to blow the whistle. I'm like, hey, you got 10 guys moving.
And the football's still on the ground with the center hand.
Same thing we saw from Briar Cliff earlier. Some poor sap is going to get credited with a penalty when really you got
5 or 6 guys,
center.
yeah.
Like I said, for a situation like that, I feel like it should be credited on the center because I'm willing to bet he's the one who was wrong on what the cadence was supposed to be.
Justin Heine, the backup left tackle, the junior out of Waco, Nebraska, 6'5", 305. He was tagged, but you could have given it to about 3 or 4 different guys on that particular play, as it'll be second down now and about 12. And here's the quarterback to throw, Pluggy, and he will throw it out to the wide receiver, and he's got it at the 49-yard line.
Yeah, right now that Briar Cliff defense, they're allowing the short passing game. They're just not going to get beat deep, and I think that's worked out pretty well because with this wind especially, it's tough to sustain a drive that whole way down the field if you're going to think that you're going to throw it.
That was Anthony Martinez, the senior out of Oceanside, California, with the catch. Sets up a manageable 3rd down and 5 with 2:40 left to go in the half. Hastings with the wide receiver spread. Pass is going to be caught. That's Martinez again inside the 45 to the 42. Move the chains. That's a first down for Hastings.
That's a difficult throw there, trying to go into that wind, but a strong throw there by a guy that we thought might just be coming in to try sparking the run game, but looks like he can sling it as well.
Now, John Zamora is listed as the backup quarterback, and he normally wears number 15. That's what it says on every roster that I've got in front of me. But number 3 in our program is Samuel Pluggy, so that's the name we're going to go with. If it is incorrect, our apologies. We'll try to get a correct update if we can. Is there's a first-off run. That's Simonson, the freshman, and he will move the pile maybe about 3 yards.
And Hastings really needs to get that run game going, especially if they're going to, try to wear down this Briar Cliff defense. But now we're under 2 minutes to play in the half. They're at that point where they do need to speed it up a little bit to make sure they have time to score on this drive.
Yep, minute 30 and counting. And again, Hastings does have all 3 timeouts to work with. They want to drop back and throw a high arcing pass. Almost intercepted at the 33-yard line.
And that time, I think the wind got that one, and that's why it wasn't picked, because the defender, I believe that's Alexander Johnson Jr., he had pretty good positioning, and then that ball just looked like it whipped to the side from where he thought it was going to go.
Yeah, he had to twist in midair to try to adjust as the ball was coming to him, and that was almost his second interception of the year. 3rd down, 6, minute 22 on the clock for Hastings. There goes the man in motion across the formation. Straight drop back. Here comes the pressure. Pluggy stumbles. Now he'll roll out. Still wants to throw, and it's batted away and almost intercepted near the 40-yard line.
Yeah, he just did a good job to avoid the sack and then kept the play alive and kept moving forward, but unable to get anything. And I'm a little surprised. It looks like Hastings is going to go punt this one away with just a minute and 11 seconds left on the clock in the half. This almost seems like one of those spots where it would make sense to try keeping that drive alive.
Ryan Hunter is the punter. He'll stand at his own 46-yard line. You always have to maybe watch out for a fake here, but They're going to be kicking it away. BCU bought good pressure, and that one's going to sail over the head of the return man and take a bounce into the end zone for the touchback for Briar Cliff.
Some pretty solid punts today for Hastings, especially with the house just coming, trying to block that each and every time. I mean, at that point, you just need to make sure you can get it off, and they've had some booming punts. Kansas
State leading Oklahoma, 10.5 minutes left to go, fourth quarter, 48-30. Ohio State moments away from sealing up a 38-7 victory over Wisconsin of less than a minute to go. And a final, Iowa beats Northwestern today, 20-0.
Now I'm wondering if Briar Cliff offensively is going to try pushing for one more score before half, or if they played a little more conservatively.
Well, they do have a timeout to work with, but they're kind of working into the wind. But they're going to try to put the ball in the air, and there's a deep pass. He's got a man. Brown comes back, tipped away from him, incomplete. Some good defense back there by Alex Atherton, the freshman out of San Diego, as he was beat. Pass hung up a bit, and Atherton came back and got that one knocked away from Brown. And a good job by Atherton not to commit the pass interference.
Yeah, I love the idea. Take the shot, and, you know, we've talked about this wind all day. I think that one might have just kind of knocked that football down. Otherwise, that could have been a quick score for the Chargers.
Appalachian State beats South Alabama today, 30-3. Appalachian State still unbeaten, ranked number 21 in the land. Now they'll do a play action. It's a slant pattern, and it is caught, and almost breaking free was Kobe Johnson, but he'll get a first down. That will stop the clock, or does it? The clock's still rolling. With 45 seconds, that should have stopped the clock. It's a first down. So they're keeping it rolling. And BCU will set things up. 35 seconds and counting. Out of the shotgun set. Play action. Mulligan being pressured, has to roll out. Wants to throw, and he'll just toss it into the sideline, incomplete.
Yeah, good job. Just throw that one away. Live to fight another day there for Mulligan. You know, both teams, these two defenses are known for the pass rush. The quarterbacks have been doing a good job avoiding the sacks. As look at our stream, we have been informed. One of the viewers watching back at home says that number 3 is Johnny Zamora.
Okay, so that's so we will make an update on our roster here. Our apologies, but we're looking at the rosters that were provided by the team. So John Zamora wearing number 3 today for Hastings. So thank you to that fan for the update. And here's a handoff up the middle for BCU. And not much doing there for Williams, as he'll only get a couple of yards with 12 seconds left to go.
And after a couple hits taken by quarterback Mulligan, who he just got creamed on that one after the play, they assumed it was looking like play action.
And the clock.
Hit. So, yeah, they're just going to let the half run out and take a nice 20-0 lead into the break.
So that is where we stand at the moment at the break. 20-0. Briar Cliff on top of Hastings. We're going to take a break here, calculate some stats, and I'll let you catch your breath there as well as home. And we invite you to stay with us here during the halftime. We'll come back in a few minutes, recap the stats. We'll also get you some other scores from around the conference and around the country. Along with Kevin Pottebaum, I'm Steve Toom. You're watching Briar Cliff football on the Chargers Sports Network. And welcome back to Memorial Field. We're at halftime. It's Briar Cliff 20, Hastings nothing. Along with Kevin Pottabaum, I'm Steve Toom. Let's get you some score updates from the Great Plains Athletic Conference. All halftime scores here. Morningside over Dakota Wesleyan 27-0. It is Northwestern up 10-0 over Doane at the break. Midland ahead of Jamestown 21-7. And Dort beating Concordia 28-0. Again, all of those scores are at the break.
I'll tell you what, it doesn't surprise me that Dort would be beating Concordia, but 28-0 is an impressive score for the defenders.
And the defenders, the team Briar Cliff will face on the 9th of November, 2 games from today. Let's check out the first half stats. 11 first downs for Briar Cliff, just 3 for Hastings. Total offense, 80 yards for Hastings on 29 plays. Briar Cliff has won 36 plays from scrimmage, 249 yards of offense. Time of possession, more than 2-1 in favor of Briar Cliff. Kevin, you were mentioning this, that Hastings defense getting tired. They were on the field for 31 minutes and 47 seconds in that first half. Hastings offense was on the field for 13 minutes and 13 seconds. That is a huge discrepancy. Third down conversions, 3 of 7 for Briar Cliff, 2 of 9 for Hastings. And red zone chances, 2 of 2 for BCU. And Hastings has yet to get the ball into the red zone. Individual stats for Briar Cliff. We have Greg Henry with 13 carries for 66 yards, including a 20-yard touchdown run. Jordan Williams, a couple of carries for 46 yards, including a 35-yard scamper. Preston Mulligan is 10 of 21 passing, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. Rashad Brown with 3 catches for 21 yards, including a score. Jalen Cook, a couple of catches for 22 yards. A.J. Carrion, 2 catches for 20 yards. And Jordan Williams has 1 39-yard reception.
Yeah, that screen pass for a touchdown, that was a big reception there for Williams on his.
Checking out the stats for Hastings, Brett Simonson has 4 carries for 11 yards. John Zamora, the backup quarterback, had a scramble for 11 yards, and Dante Smith, 4 carries for just 3 yards. Isaiah Jackson started off passing just 6 of 13, 58 yards, took a couple of sacks. John Zamora, 1 pass completion in 3 attempts. 2 catches for Keoti Stenhouse for 36 yards. 2 for 15 for Anthony Martinez, the backup wide receiver, and Dante Smith, a couple of catches for 9 yards. Ryan Hunter has punted 6 times, averaging 40 yards a punt. Does have a couple of touchbacks. And Robert Robinson, a couple of punts. He's averaging 37.5 yards per punt, forced into that duty. Check out the scoring drives. Briar Cliff scored with 9:10 left to go in the first quarter. It was Greg Henry on a 20-yard run. Point after kick was good. And then with 9 seconds left to go in the first quarter, it was Jordan Williams catching a 39-yard pass from Mulligan, his first touchdown pass as a Charger. And then Rashad Brown with a 1-yard pass from Mulligan. That came with 5 minutes left to go in the second quarter, and that's where we stand, 20-0 here at the break. Penalties, 4 against Briar Cliff for 30 yards, 1 against Hastings for just 5 yards, but stats just totally being dominated by BCU.
Yeah, you know, Robert Robinson, we talked about the punting. He's got those 7 tackles to lead all defensive players. And looking at some of the other defensive stats, Dante Shipman in the secondary has 2 pass breakups to his credit. Asi Tapua, he's got 2 tackles. Well, one was a solo tackle sack, and the other one was a assisted tackle for a sack. So he's got 1.5 sacks to his credit today. So great job by Asi Tapua on that defensive front. His assisted sack, it was him and Robert Robinson there on that bring down of the quarterback. So the Briar Cliff defense, you know, when Briar Cliff has had success this year, it's been that defense leading the way, and we're seeing that yet again today. But also, big credit to that offensive line. The run game has just been highly effective. The Chargers are averaging 7.5 yards per carry, and that has really set up and made things a little bit easier for quarterback Preston Mulligan as far as being able to use that play action and have a little bit more time to let those routes develop. Tried a few deep balls, but, you know, throwing it deep in this wind it's just so tough. It's one thing when you're dealing with windy conditions. It's another when that wind has switched directions a couple times and you just never know quite what it's going to do to the football.
Sunny skies here today, 58 the current temperature in Sioux City, and wind coming out of the south, about 15 to 20 miles an hour, and that is creating some problems for the passing game.
I was going to say, I stepped out of the press box there for a minute and a half, and I almost got blown away, that's for sure.
It may be a little bit stronger than that, but otherwise, just an absolutely gorgeous day here for college football in Sioux City and across the upper Midwest here. And got a couple of scores to pass along to you here. Iowa beats Northwestern today 20-0. Ohio State rolls by Wisconsin 38-7. They're still not done down in Kansas State, but Kansas State up by 10 on Oklahoma, 48-38. 5 minutes to go in that game as BCU takes the opening kickoff here. And that's Jalen Cook. He's got a good return running to his left. He's across the 30, across the 40, to the 44-yard line. Great return there by number 81, Jalen Cook.
Yeah, filling in for Markel Roby, who's injured on that kick return. And I see Markel heading right over to congratulate the return man filling in for him with a great return to give Briar Cliff some pretty solid field position to start this second half.
Yeah, that's his first kickoff return of the season for Jalen Cook. He's a sophomore out of Omaha. 1st and 10 Chargers on a sun-splashed field here today in Sioux City. I'd like to welcome you, no matter where you may be watching, and we also welcome the Hastings fans who may be tuning in today. Pass, caught, Brown broke away from one tackle, but he can't escape the second and third man there.
Yeah, breaking that tackle, ended up losing a yard, I think, for the Chargers as he was knocked back, but great catch there. Took a hit as he was coming down. I mean, it's impressive to hold on to that football, let alone escape that tackle.
Well, let's see how much they give him for forward progress. I guess 5 yards when all is said and done. The referees will put it down. 2nd and 5 coming up for the Chargers. Just underway, 3rd quarter of play. Hastings showing blitz. Now they'll back away from it. And it's going to be a handoff. And that's Williams to the right side. And he lost the football and got it back. And
he's just toying with the defense there.
He fumbled it, and then it hung him midair. He spun around and collected it again and kept going forward. He's into Hastings territory near the 42-yard line. 1st down Chargers. That could have been trouble for PCU.
Again, they're using his speed on the edge to get the 1st down there. And then we see the big boy and Henry in the backfield now where they tend to pound it up the middle a little more.
1st and 10 Chargers. Moving into the wind here. They did win the coin toss, deferred to the second half. And Mulligan wants to throw. Short pass over the middle, caught by Brown, and he is brought down after a decent gain of about 6, maybe 7 yards on the play. That's Paxton Terry, the freshman out of McCook, Nebraska, with the tackle for Hastings.
You talk about viewers from all over the country. It looks like we have some family members of Jordan Williams down in the Texas area watching. Loving seeing what they're seeing from the running back here today.
Duncanville, Texas, his hometown. This young man is dynamite, as he is on the bench at the moment, and Greg Henry in there. On 2nd down and about 4 yards to go, and we welcome everyone who's watching all over the world. And that's a pass, short pass caught by Carrion, the tight end, shy of the 1st down marker. Again, Tyler French out with an injury. And so A.J. Carrion, the freshman out of El Monte. Kreger Clark has seen time at tight end. Clark coming into the game right now.
Gotta love the fact that, especially for a team that has guys from all over the country, how easy it is for family members to be able to stay home and watch these athletes perform week in and week out. And we just want to say thanks to all the family members cheering on their loved ones from home.
Indeed. 3rd down and about 2. Chargers go to the run. Henry tries to turn the corner, and he'll be brought down right at the line of scrimmage. A strong play by Chris Rodriguez, the backup linebacker out of Houston, Texas. When you examine this roster for Hastings, they've got a lot of guys from the Houston area. On the defensive side, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4 main players, 5 actually. check that, six players that get regular action just out of the Houston area for Hastings. So they're recruiting that football stronghold pretty.
It's almost like Texas might be known for football or something.
You would think. 4th down and 2. Chargers are going to go for it. Play action. Pass. Incomplete. And there was some contact downfield intended for Kobe Johnson. He's looking for a flag, but none forthcoming, and the Chargers turn it over on down. So a big break there for Hastings as they hold on 4th and 2.
Yeah, there's been some pretty good coverage here today from Hastings. There's these quick routes trying to fire it in there. Mulligan hasn't had a ton of room to put that football, and just some near misses that you have to credit the defense.
1st and 10 Chargers. Or check that, Broncos, I should say. They're at their own 34-yard line. 4-man front for BCU. There's a man in motion. It's a jet sweep. That's Bell with the ball, and he'll be corralled and thrown out of bounds. He did get a couple yards on the play.
Yeah, that was Woods coming in from the secondary to put the initial hit on, and Woods playing in that secondary last year was part of the linebacking core, but he's just got such good speed that he makes a great defensive back as well, but he can still lay the lick like a linebacker, that's for sure.
Yeah, he got injured in that Doane game. It was good to see him come back. He's carried off the field in that game. Here comes the blitz for BCU. Zamora throws. He's got a wide open man. That's Griffin, and he is out of bounds. And a good lick laid there by the wide receiver. That is Griffin. And that fired up the Hastings bench over there.
Tell you what, there was also a big hit taken by Zamora at quarterback. Peyton Bailey was just late coming in with that pressure, and he flattened the quarterback, but he was able to get a beautiful pass off.
Griffin Roberts, I should say, correct myself there on the pass receipt. 1st down, backup quarterback playing some wide receiver for Hastings today. Bell coming in motion. That's a handoff. Simonson, I should say. He'll get maybe a yard or so.
Yeah, he did a good job there to avoid a huge hit from Woods, but you make that stutter step and let Woods go in front of you. Then you got Tapua right there to put on another solid hit. So good gang tackling and multiple helmets coming to the football for this Briar Cliff defense.
2nd down, we'll call it 9. 9:45 and counting, 3rd quarter. Chargers up 20-0 on Hastings. Don't want to pass. Zamora throws. He's got a man, but it's incomplete beyond the fingertips of Griffin Roberts.
Just checking our live chat. We got Krager Clark's family giving us a little bit of a shout out as well. Krager Clark doing a great job today. He does some blocking from his tight end possession offense. Also the long snapper for the Chargers. And, you know, we talked about it. There's been some special teams play here today that has looked pretty darn good for the Chargers. So shout out to Krager Clark, and we appreciate you watching back home, the Clark family.
When you talk about special teams, Hastings has had some miscues on special teams today. That's hurt them. 3rd down and long. Zamora stands tall in the pocket. He throws incomplete. Intended for number 11, Riley Ostendorf, and that's Patrick Gassant Jr., the freshman out of Loganville, Georgia, with some great coverage there.
Tell you what, when I saw the defense coming in and pressuring the quarterback, I thought it had to be a screen pass with how easily it seemed like they got in. But no, that was just a regular pass play. That Charger defense just blew up the offensive line to get back there. Great pressure.
BCU has gotten to the quarterback a couple times today. They'll drop Brown back to take the upcoming punt. Oh, almost blocked. And the fair catch called for by Brown near the 20-yard line. BCU's gotten close a couple of times to blocking punts.
Yeah, they've been right there. And this Charger team, I think they have 3 or 4 punt blocks. I know they had the 2 in the one game, and I know of at least one more. I know there's been at least 3, and I was almost thinking it might be more than that for punt blocks. So this Hastings team, I mean, they've been feeling the pressure, and Briar Cliff setting the house, but they've done a nice job. And, you know, we talk about those special teams, those long snappers and punters especially. You better be on the same page, or one of these is going to go back the other direction.
And those coverage guys downfield, they've got to make tackles in the open field. That 3rd phase of a football game, special teams. Right now it's favoring Briar Cliff as they operate 1st and 10. Mulligan wants to throw. He'll roll out to his right, still scanning downfield. Outlet man caught across the 30, still on his feet, across the 40. That's Carrion, I believe.
I think it was Henry out of the
backfield.
backfield.
Check that. It is Henry. Henry with the catch all the way out to the 47-yard line. What a run after catch.
Yeah, I think a linebacker had man coverage on him, stumbled down to the ground, which with Mulligan making the time in the pocket, escaping there, had some time to find him. And you give Henry some open space, and he's gonna punish a defense for trying to make a one-on-one tackle.
Henry will check out. And now Jordan Williams into the game at the running back position, stands to the right of his quarterback on 1st and 10. Hastings, looks like they want a blitz. Mulligan taking his time. Handoff. And Williams is bottled up right away. Good tackle in the middle of that defense there, set up by Chris Rodriguez.
It's really the first time they've gone into the backfield and put that first hit on a running back for the Chargers back there. Is now it looks like Stanton Lee getting into the game at running back. We've seen less and less of him lately with some other guys getting healthy and getting in there. But I'll tell you what, when there were some injuries in the backfield, Stanton Lee really came up huge earlier this season for Briar Cliff.
Yep, he's a junior out of Hawaii, Mililani. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. 2nd down and 11, loss of 1 on the previous play. Mulligan wants to put it in the air. He'll throw, and it is into traffic and caught across the 50. And that is Rashad Brown with the catch, the junior out of Chicago.
You know, Stanton Lee came onto the field for one play, and as a running back, most of the time you want to see if he carried the ball well. There, he had great blitz pickup as a linebacker was coming through, and he was able to keep his quarterback on his feet and allow that pass to be completed. So one of the unsung duties of the running back position, played well there.
Gain of 5 on the play sets up 3rd and 6 for BCU. They'll work out of the shotgun set. Henry back in at running back. He'll stay in and block. Pass is behind Brown, incomplete. Oh, he had enough, or no, he would have been shy of the first down marker unless he could have slipped by a guy, but still, it was Paxton Terry there defensively for the Hastings Broncos, and the punting situation now for BCU.
Yeah, if that pass is in front of him, he might be able to keep that momentum going forward for the first down, but just a little bit behind him, that'll send out the punting unit. And
trying to get an update on the Kansas State-Oklahoma game. Sooners were down by 10 on the road when last we checked in. Robinson, high kick, held up by the wind. It'll bounce near the 35, and the Hastings players are pushing each other to get out of the way, and it's down near the 33-yard line.
Yeah, so that's only going to be about a 15-yard punt, but again, when you're dealing with these windy conditions, it's not easy, and you throw a defensive lineman out there as the punter with some situations that they've had to deal with this Charger team, and he's done a pretty decent job there. But now Hastings, see if they can take advantage.
48-41, Kansas State on top. They've got the ball with 1:10 left to go in the 4th quarter. And it looks like there may be an upset in the Big 12 as Hastings goes to work on offense. And that is a nice run by Simonson up the middle across the 45 to the 49-yard line. Strong run there by the freshman. First down Hastings. John Zamora in at quarterback.
Put his shoulder down and kept moving forward. Really the first time we've seen that good of a push and making defenders fall backwards from these Hastings runners.
Can't abandon the run if you're Hastings, at least not at this stage of the game. Oh, mix up there, and it's the quarterback who keeps it, Zamora, and he will get about 4 yards on the play. That was a disaster there. It looked like Zamora couldn't quite make up his mind whether he wanted to keep the ball or pull it, or hand it off to his running back.
I think the problem was the running back really wanted it. They both really wanted it, and it was just who was going to rip it out harder.
A gain of about 3 across midfield to the 48. 2nd and 7 coming up. Final, Kansas State beats Oklahoma, number 5 in the land, 48-41. Well, big upset there. And here comes Zamora, and he'll be sacked. As coming in, that was Peyton Bailey to apply the pressure. And I'm not sure who's going to get the final credit with the sack. I think that's Blake Mascarello. But boy, there were 2 guys right there. Zamora was in trouble from the word go.
Peyton Bailey almost beat the football back to the quarterback. My goodness.
That is one where you time it right, you slip by a blocker, and Yeah, that was, I tell you what, Zamora was just in trouble, and Hastings lucky they didn't have a turnover on that play. 3rd down and 11 for the Broncos. Zamora at quarterback, looks to his left, throws, and it's intercepted by Bailey. He's at the 50 on the return, to the 40, trying to reverse his field. He'll be tackled at the 34-yard line. Turnover, Hastings.
Love to see it, and I'm going to give a little bit of intel. For those of you that don't know, I am the sports information director at Briar Cliff, and right now nominations are open for academic All-American and All-Region awards, and football was supposed to be turned in either last week or next week, and I waited until after this week because I thought to myself, you know what, I got a good feeling Peyton Bailey could do some things that might up the value of his nomination. And he is having a day today, and unfortunately you can't put in all the stats of just the plays that he's affected where he didn't get the tackles, but there the senior gets a great interception.
He is one of those men that really embodies the true spirit of student athlete. Again, a good young man, good high character young man. 1st and 10 Chargers from their own 34. They'll run a reverse. And on that is Levy, and he is at the 20-yard line, and he's still on his feet and pulled down at the 19. So
that's first play of the game. They handed off right up the middle on that similar-looking play, and I had said, be wary if that's going to happen again, but they're going to give it to the wide receiver. They do, and a big play and a first down.
And the freshman from Nebraska City, Nebraska, makes an impressive play, and BCU's in the red zone there at the 19-yard line of Hastings. 1st down and 10, 4:40 left to go, 3rd quarter. Chargers up 20-0. Late substitution in. Gutierrez in, Brown out. Still 8 on the play clock. Now they'll shift things into position. Mulligan with 4 seconds on the play clock. He gets it off in time. Handoff. Henry tries the left side. A nice little stiff arm. He'll get out of bounds at the 15.
Nice little stiff arm. Understatement of the year right there. Just punished the defender yet again.
I tell you what, 6'1", 210, and a junior is Greg Henry.
Yeah, he's basically a linebacker who runs the ball.
And he has deceptive speed. I mean, he's quicker than he looks. I mean, yes, he's obviously the power back, but boy, when he gets that 2nd or 3rd step going in the open field, he can really just take off. 2nd down and 5. Gain of 5 on that last play. Henry moves back into the pistol formation. And he'll take a handoff. Nice little stutter step again to the left side. He's close to the goal line. Is he out or is he in? Referees.
Are they calling him down? I thought they were going to say he was in, but now I think one of them saying his foot
out of bounds at the 3. Out of bounds at the 3, but it's a first down for BCU.
And again, another one of those stiff arms. Just that first defender is just getting thrown around when they try going one-on-one against Henry.
Minnesota scores on its first drive against Maryland, 6-0. Minnesota ranked number 17 in the land. First quarter score there in the Big Ten. 1st and goal, BCU. They'll shift 3 men over to the right side. Henry in at running back, pistol formation. He'll get it, run to the right, cut inside, met by a host of Broncos. Ball comes loose, but I think he was down, and he will get no gain on the play.
You know, this is a situation where I have no problem if you just say, you know what, we're going to try 4 downs and just keep the ball on the ground and pound, see if he can't get 6.
Well, Stanton Lee is going to check into the game as Henry goes to the sideline. So Lee, number 19, in at running back. They'll shift things around. Now the spread formation with the empty backfield. Mulligan wants to throw, and it's behind the intended receiver. That's Kobe Johnson at the goal line.
Yeah, surprised to see him go with no backs in the backfield. Mulligan, not much of a running threat, so you're kind of allowing the defense to count on it being a pass as Henry will come back in. But now you have 3rd down at the 4-yard line. If they don't get it here, you know, if you get inside the 1 or the 2, maybe they go for it on 4th down. Otherwise, might end up settling for 3.
3rd and goal from the 4. Henry stands to the right of his quarterback. They'll put Brown in motion across the formation. Roll out to the right. Looking, throwing, and it is caught. Is he in? Yes! Touchdown BCU, Rashad Brown.
Not a lot of space there to complete that pass, but Mulligan has really shown some zip on that football and gets it to stay in the sideline. A great job by Brown, field awareness to know to keep those feet in bounds. Big-time touchdown for Briar Cliff as we're nearing the end of the third quarter, and Hastings going to have to do something big if they're going to sneak back into this one.
Third touchdown pass of the day for Mulligan. Now Montana with the point after kick. Cook the holder for BCU. And it is on the way, and it is no good, wide right. One of the few things that's gone wrong today for BCU, but they're still up 26-0 here. 2:06 left, third quarter of play. I'm Steve Toom. He's Kevin Pottabaum. This is Briar Cliff Football, and we are on the Chargers Sports Network. Welcome back to Memorial Field. Steve Toom here along with Kevin Pottabaum. Good day for the Chargers so far. 2:06 left, third quarter. Chargers 26, Hastings nothing. And it'll be BCU to kick off.
Looks like that wind might be helping the kicker, which has been rare.
It has shifted from time to time, now out of the south. And there is the kickoff, and the return man for Hastings is Bell. And he'll be corralled around the 27-yard line.
You know, we've been talking about him a little bit today, but Peyton Bailey looked like he was the one to initiate that tackle on special teams. And you don't see many teams that you have your starting linebacker, the team captain, and he's out there on the kick coverage team. And it's not because they don't have the depth and the bodies to fill a special teams. It's that kid just wants to be on the field. He just wants to be out there. He wants to be hitting somebody. And just gotta love the guy going out there and making plays all around.
First and 10 Hastings from their own 28-yard line. Handoff up the middle, and that is Simonson, and not much there. Update for you, third quarter score, about 9 minutes left to go. Morningside in front of Dakota Wesleyan 34-0.
Also back at Faber Field, looks like they're winding down to the closing minutes, still 0-0 between the women's soccer teams from Briar Cliff and College of St. Mary. So hopefully the Chargers can get on that scoreboard and pick up a win on senior day back on campus.
Second down and 9 for Hastings. Zamora in at quarterback draw, and he's got a nice hole across the 40. Big hit, shrugs it off, gets across the 45-yard line as Cameron Davenport tried to lay the wood. Zamora stayed on his feet.
Yeah, you know, you have a wide receiver out there trying to play defense. He wants to make the big hit, but, you know, hasn't had as much practice as the rest of the defense, and wrapping him up and making sure you bring him down is, yeah, he had solid contact, but you got to bring the ball carrier down.
Minute to go, third quarter, clock rolling. Briar Cliff in front, 26-0 on Hastings. Second to last home game of the year for BCU. Four-man front for the Chargers. It's a running play, new running back into the game, and he'll have a nice gain. Number 25 for Hastings, and that is Christian Newhart. He's out of Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Seems to be another place that a lot of Hastings players have come for. I thought I noticed a lot of Colorado guys, which is pretty normal for Hastings on that. When you're that far in Nebraska, you're basically just Colorado west or east.
Yeah, it's not that long a drive to get to Colorado. Quarterback draw, and Zamora is not going to go far as Robinson tracked him down. Tried to rip the ball out, couldn't do so.
You know, we talked a little bit about it with a few other guys, but Robinson, for a guy that big, he is quick.
Yes, and not just flat-out speed, but that lateral quickness as well. And we're done with the third quarter of play. Our score is 26-0, Chargers in front of the Hastings Broncos. Along with Kevin Pottebaum, I'm Steve Toom. You're listening and watching Briar Cliff football on the Chargers Sports Network. And welcome back to Memorial Field. Along with Kevin Pottebaum, I'm Steve Toom. Got an update for you on the scoreboard here. It's South Dakota State leading North Dakota State 6-0. That game early in the second quarter out of the Missouri Valley. And early second quarter, Northern Iowa leading against Missouri State 3-0. Youngstown State rolling it up on Western Illinois at the break 45-7. We'll get some third quarter stats here in a moment as we start the final stanza. Hastings with the football in BCU territory. Zamora wants to keep it. He'll run, and he'll get across the 45 to the 43-yard line. Gassant with the great open field tackle. And Kevin, checking out the stats here, time of possession is actually now kind of in favor of Hastings.
I think there's some slip up on that. They'll get that fixed later, but big time lead for Briar Cliff here. But looking at the scoreboard, it does look like the women's soccer team is headed to overtime with College St. Mary tied at 0. Again, on the BCUChargers.com, you can find the link to that game as well for you Charger fans.
1st and 10. Zamora will hand it off, and nothing doing there for the running back, and that is Newhart.
A couple of bodies in there. Look like Bailey for one, and trying to see who the second one in on that play was for the Chargers. I believe it was Mark Snorton, a former running back, flipped to the defensive side of things. I think he was back there to help make that tackle behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Snorton with 24 tackles coming into today. He played while Bailey was hurt. It's a 1-yard loss. Pass is almost intercepted by Patrick Gassant, who is coming in on a blitz, and he tipped that pass away from the safety valve man. And boy, if
much for safe.
Yeah, that was not a safe safety valve there, because had that pass been about a couple of inches lower, I think Gassant, that would have been right in his mitts, and he's off to the races.
Oh, yeah, great play defensively. Like you said, it's a safety valve. It's supposed to be an easy, quick option for a quarterback, and nothing comes easy against this Briar Cliff defense.
3rd and 11 for Hastings. Operating in BCU territory, and a sack! Oh, my goodness, from the blind side. Who got that sack? Number 91 for the Chargers.
Is that Montgomery?
M.J. Montgomery, the freshman.
I know we have some viewers at home from the Montgomery family watching, and I'm sure they're just yelling at the screen, loving that one.
Penalty on the play. Montgomery came in and just got the quarterback from the blind side, but a penalty flag. Could it be Spear?
I mean, that looked pretty clean. It was hard, but it was clean, that's for sure. I don't know if it was something after the fact, but man.
Boy, that's one where you're on the Hastings sideline. You're yelling at your quarterback to look out, because that came in from the blind side. Clock stops with 13:20 left here in the fourth quarter. While the referees sort it out here, let's see. Face mask on the defense.
Must have been called in the coverage unit.
Yep.
Number 8, that's Dante Shipman.
Yep. Boy, that takes that great sack away from M.J. Montgomery. Would have been his second on the year. Backs up BCU 15 yards, and that'll be a first down for Hastings, and the Broncos need that. Right now, I think Tony Harper just trying to find some combination that works. He's mixed up the quarterback. He's thrown in some different wide receivers, some different running backs.
He's trying to figure something out that the rest of the G-Pack has been trying to figure out all year, is just how to consistently move the ball against this Briar Cliff defense.
And they will do a handoff, and it's a fumble. Zamora picks it up, and he is wrapped up right away. And there's Montgomery with the tackle.
Man, another just massive hit. Last time it was just pure pressure coming in and drilling him. That time he wraps him up and just throws him down like a rag doll.
Yeah, it was Newhart who took the handoff, but he fumbled. And a wise play by Zamora, who was kind of following the play, and he was there to pick it up, but then got wrapped up by Montgomery.
On the chat line, we got Montgomery's dad watching while he's on shift. Love to see you keeping the Chargers, and Mom's here in attendance watching this firsthand.
Here comes the pressure. Zamora stands tall and throws it at the feet of his wide receiver, Griffin Roberts, incomplete.
I don't know why there wasn't a hold on that play. That right side, there was definitely some pressure, and the defender just got grabbed and ripped away. Otherwise, I think that would have been another sack. But these officials have really kept the laundry in their pockets, which, I mean, they've been consistent with it, and that's all you can ask for. But if there was ever going to be a hold, I'm watching the replay on my little stream that's behind. That'd be it.
35-14 Midland ahead of Jamestown, end of 3. On the GPAC scoreboard, Zamora throws to the sidelines. What a catch by Stenhouse. He pulls it down at the 27, but I think he's shy of the first down marker as Coyote Stenhouse really went up high to get that one.
Yeah, and he came down, and if it's NFL rules and you can keep moving after you hit the ground before you're touched, he might have been able to get that first down, but just falling on his backside, he's down there, and it's just shy of the first down.
4th and 1, and the Broncos are going to go for it with 11:55 left here in the ball game. Let's see if they'll put it on the ground. Zamora is a running quarterback. Here comes the blitz. He'll take it up the middle. He'll stretch. And this one's going to be close. I think he might have gotten it by the nose of the football. Depends on the spot. They're going to move the chains. He didn't get it by much, but he got it.
Yeah, now, Hastings, they're moving the ball successfully on this drive, but they might have to start going a little more hurry up if they want to come back in this game. I mean, they're down 4 scores with under 12 minutes to go.
Northwestern ahead of Doane, 23-3. That game in the 4th quarter of play now. 1st down and 10. Zamora drops back, throws across the middle. Stenhouse has it wrapped up right away. No, he dropped it.
Yeah, I was going to say that I saw the defenders grab his arms and pull back, and that ball bounced off the turf. Great job by the defense playing through the whistle there and getting that ball to come out.
Stenhouse wrapped up right away, and we have a player down for Hastings.
Hate to see that in this game. That there's been some big hits and some by both teams. And
see if we can get some more score updates for you from around the country. And it is Northern Iowa 6-0 now ahead of Missouri State. South Dakota State in the early 2nd quarter ahead of North Dakota State 6-0. The score there. In the top 25, the big news of the day, Oklahoma loses at Kansas State 48-41. Right now, the late afternoon games kicking off in major college football. Minnesota ahead of Maryland 7-0. Iowa a winner today, 20-0 on the road at Northwestern. Ohio State clobbers Wisconsin 38-7. Wisconsin's going to be tumbling down the polls. 2nd down and 10. This play resumes here. Option play. Pitch to the outside. That's Simonson, and he's wrapped up, and he didn't get anything at all.
Yeah, good tackle there by Johnson Jr. going down low and taking out the legs. Also, just good defense all around on knowing how to handle the option. You don't see it a ton, so just staying committed to your job, and they strung that out to the sideline and made the tackle.
3rd down and 10 for Hastings. 3 receivers out to the right, 1 to the left. Simonson stays in at running back. He'll stay in and block. Time, the throw. Behind the receiver, incomplete at the 15-yard line.
Yeah, great job by the pass protection there for Hastings, allowing time, but it was because Briar Cliff had gone more coverage heavy, and there just was not any real clean windows to be able to find a receiver there.
Ostendorf, the intended receiver. 4th down coming up, and if you're Hastings, really what do you have to lose at this point? You got to go for it with 10:31 left. 4th and 10 from the Charger 26. Zamora in at quarterback. He's played the entire second half, but Tony Harper wants to talk it over first. Timeout, Hastings.
Yeah, going for this on 4th down, and Briar Cliff defense has one shutout on the season, and you know defensive coordinator Jody Owens, he's licking his chops. He would love to put up another goose egg. Speaking of shutouts, Briar Cliff's men's soccer team earlier this week pitched a shutout, 6th in a row for the Chargers in men's soccer. That ties a program record. Fun story with that one is the Chargers are coached this year by Corey Christensen. It's his first year at the helm for Briar Cliff. The last team to have 6 consecutive shutouts for Briar Cliff was in 1996, as Corey Christensen was a senior on that squad. So 6-game shutout streaks happened twice in school history, and Corey Christensen was a part of one as a player and now is a part of another as a coach, with an opportunity to set a new record if they can get that 7th one next week.
Morningside ahead of Dakota Wesleyan 41-0. That game late in the third quarter of play. Dort up 28-0 on Concordia. We'll update on that game in a little while. As it's 4th and 10 here. They'll put a man in motion. That's Patton. Pressure coming. And the quarterback in trouble. He'll be sacked. 3 players there.
And who would have guessed? Robinson in there as well.
There were 3 Chargers right there. Tapua and Robinson leading the way. And that pocket, I tell you what, that collapsed pretty quickly.
Yeah,
I don't think Zamora had much of a chance.
You get those edge rushers, and that's what Robinson's been doing really well, is rushing off that edge. But then when the pressure comes up the middle as well, there's just nothing you can do as a quarterback. And, that's been a story all season long, is that tackles for loss and sacks that this Briar Cliff defense has been able to force.
26-0, Chargers on top. And now they take over at their own 28-yard line. That's Williams with the ball. Tries to bounce to the outside. Cuts across the 30 to the 37-yard line. Good gain as he shifted directions on that play.
Yeah, slippery would be the term I'd use on that one. Is it looked like a defender had him wrapped up at the shoulder, and he just snuck out of that one and got a positive gain. And, again, a snap that went a little high, and Mulligan just one-handing it with that right hand, keeping the timing going with that play.
Tyler Levy out as a wide receiver on the right side. One receiver out on the left. Now the H-backs will switch around. A little confusion there. Clark now goes to the right side. Gutierrez standing to the left of his quarterback. 6 on the play clock. Now he'll move over to the right. Mulligan calling the signals, and some confusion. Timeout called by Briar Cliff. And the offensive coordinator not really happy there, as there was confusion on that play.
Yeah, Coach Cheek has really made it quite an exotic offense, and with a true freshman quarterback, I feel like Mulligan's handled it pretty well. But when you're facing exotic defenses, you got to be able to shift and kind of try to read what you're seeing on the defensive front. And there just seemed like a couple of guys weren't positive on where they were supposed to be positioned.
Updates. It is Oklahoma State out in front of Iowa State. First quarter score. About 5 minutes left to go. 7-0. Cowboys on top of the Cyclones. Minnesota on top of Maryland. 7-0. That game late in the first. Texas leads TCU 3-0 in the first. Penn State out in front of Michigan State 7-0. That game about 5 minutes left to go in the first quarter. Early in the game, no score. Auburn and LSU.
That's a fun little matchup.
Oh, number 2 versus number 9 there. That game being played in Baton Rouge. Second down and about 3. Handoff. Williams wrapped up in the backfield and thrown for a loss. What a great open field tackle there by number 45 for Hastings. That's Hagen Tucker. He's a senior.
Yeah, slipped through there in the backfield, and like you mentioned, just a strong tackle there by the young man. Is this Hastings defense, they're fighting tough. They've been on the field a good portion of today, but they're still playing hard and causing some pressure.
Yeah, Hastings giving up 42 points per game, but their last 2 games against Midland and Morningside have kind of skewed that. Third down and about 6 for BCU. Mulligan's going to roll out. Throws on the run, intended for Brown, incomplete. And there was good pressure coming by Hastings. And you're right, this Hastings team has not quit defensively.
If anything, it almost looks like they're playing stronger here in this second half. And, that's the opposite of what you would expect with how much time they've been out there.
Yeah, this Hastings defense has been on the field a long time, and they're going to some of their reserves, and guys like Hagen Tucker coming in and making some big plays for the Broncos. Well, they'll have another chance here. 8:49 on the clock. BCU up 26-0. And Robinson will kick it away. And it's a high kick. Bounces near the 40. Takes a BCU bounce. It'll be down around the 21-yard line.
21-yard line.
That's solid right there to flip the field and help the case. This Hastings team, this second half they've had some drives. They can't sustain them. So it's so crucial to get them pinned back as far as you can. Help that defense out. We have not seen the big play threat here from the Broncos today. And I mean, with 8:36 to go in the game, you can't take these slow drives and be able to come back.
Dante Smith in at the running back position. John Zamora, the freshman at quarterback now for Hastings. He'll move his running back over to his right side, send three receivers out to the left. Quarterback draw. Zamora has a nice gain across the 25 near the 30-yard line. Gains about 7 or so on the play. And BCU will be happy to give up that run as long as the clock keeps moving.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't let the big play go behind you if you're in the secondary, and see how things play out with a nice, comfortable 26-point lead here.
Second down, we'll call it 3. And it's a handoff up the middle. Running back will get the first down. That is Smith. And that'll move the chains for for Hastings rather. Under 8 minutes to go. And it's Chargers up 26-0. Try to get some scores from around the conference here. Haven't had a whole lot of updates recently. All kickoff at 1 o'clock today for GPAC teams. Zamora wants to throw, and he is going to be sacked, and he loses the football, and it's scooped up by Tapua. And it's loose on the ground again. And I think BCU's got it.
And that's fortunate there, because if Hastings is able to pick that up, they get a free first down with a couple of change of possessions. But Briar Cliff able to fall on it. But again, that backside pressure, Zamora is just getting lit up from the blind side. Needs to be a little more aware of that pass rush coming from it, as he has taken some big hits.
Yeah, keep taking hits like that, and that will shorten your college career, because those blindside hits on the quarterback, they take their toll. Let's hope the young man's okay.
Looks like we have Trey coming back out there to quarterback the offense now.
Yep, it is DeAndre Collins-Jones at quarterback with 7:29 left to go. Option play, quarterback keeps it, and he's got a big hole, and he'll get across the 15 down near the 10-yard line. Move the chains. First down, Chargers.
Oh, and a defender fell on the back leg of, I believe, Carrion. Hopefully he's okay, as the defender came into that right leg of his, and I saw it looking right at it. He went down and could tell he was in some pain.
A.J. Carrion down on the field, the freshman tight end from El Monte, California. Stops the clock with 7:13 left to go here in regulation. BCU up 26-0. It is Midland and leading Jamestown at the end of 3:35-14. And Kevin, do we got an update on that women's soccer matchup happening here in town today?
Yeah, it did look like, unfortunately, College of St. Mary upended the 1-0 win in overtime. That's 3 straight losses for the Briar Cliff women's soccer team that started the conference play against Hastings and Midland, 2 teams ranked in the top 15 in the country, picked up wins in those games. Since then, though, they've had 4 conference losses, which just you can't take anything for granted from top to bottom. The GPAC, it seems like in every sport, like I said, you can't take a day off. Everybody has the opportunity to nip you, and College St. Mary picking up the victory.
And AJ being helped off to the sideline. And let's see, hopefully the young man will be okay and can return to action next week when the Chargers play here against Northwestern. Final 2 games will be at Dordt, at Jamestown. And I got to remember it's Dordt University now. Collins Jones at quarterback. He'll want to keep it himself, and he's wrapped up right away at the line of scrimmage.
I'll tell you what, it looked like there might have been a gap up the middle. If he would have given that one to Williams, he might have been able to take it to the house right down Broad Street.
You have Daniel Mason on the tackle for Hastings, number 57. 6:40 and counting. Fourth quarter here. ECU trying to put this one away, and getting another score here would be icing on the cake.
Yeah, but for every second that ticks off, that's a positive for the blue and gold.
Pistol formations. Collins Jones. He'll hand it up the middle. That's Williams with the ball. He'll scamper into the end zone. An 11-yard touchdown run for the Chargers.
Sweet little move there, too, because with his speed, you always figure he's going to the outside, and all of a sudden he just planted that left foot and cut it back up the middle and just left the defenders in his dust at that point. Great run there by Williams as he finds the end zone.
Great run by Williams. I believe that's his second rushing touchdown of the day. Or no, he caught a pass earlier today.
Second total touchdown.
Yep, his first rushing touchdown of the day, his second on the season.
But yeah, normally, like I said, he's the guy that if you get him to the outside, he's dangerous. And looked like the defenders were aware of that. But, you know, it's not a great idea to leave the middle of the field open either.
Not against that guy. Here's the point after kick, and it sails wide right again. No good. But the Chargers enjoy a 32-0 lead. 6:15 left to go. Fourth quarter of play. Along with Kevin Pottebaum, I'm Steve Toom. You're listening to Briar Cliff football as we have a Charger down after that special teams play. And getting up slowly, we're going to, before we take a break here, trying to see who that is.
Somebody on the line.
That was Woodruff, I think.
Jogging off the field. Glad to see that. That's a crucial piece to the offensive line for the Chargers. But he's jogging off looking good to go, so that's good to see.
We'll take a quick break here, come back with the kickoff. This is Briar Cliff Football on the Chargers Sports Network. .6:15 on the clock. That's what's left in regulation here at Memorial Field. I'm Steve Toom. He's Kevin Pottebaum. Chargers having a good day. They're up 32-0 over Hastings.
And again, that balance that we talked about. Briar Cliff, 177 yards on the ground, 185 through the air. Looking at it, 27 rushing plays for the Chargers to 31 passing plays. So always love to see that balanced attack.
About 6 minutes left to go up in Jamestown. Midland leading there 35-14. Last update we had was Northwestern ahead of Doane 23-3. And 48-0. It's Morningside ahead of Dakota Wesleyan, that game late in the third. And here's the approach. High kick, not very far. Collected by one of the upback who wisely goes to a knee.
He'd actually called for the fair catch, and I think he just wasn't sure if everyone saw it, so got down on that knee to make sure he didn't get hit hard. But, yeah, usually the coaching staff prefers those up guys. Mm-hmm. Don't try to get too cute with it. Just make sure to get possession and let's send the offense onto the field. But, again, this Hastings offense, they've been able to move the ball and move the chains a few times, but they just haven't been able to make it all the way to score. And they're running out of time. We've got to start to see a little more urgency.
Morningside scored again. It's now end of the third quarter, 55-0. Mustangs on top of Dakota Wesleyan. New quarterback into the game, and running with that is number 16. And I hope I get the name right here, Jacob Coldingheis.
You're talking about Morningside getting up to the 55-point mark against Dakota Wesleyan. You know, as a Briar Cliff fan, allowed 49 points to Morningside, which, you know, doesn't sound great, but actually with that offense, that's the fewest points they've scored all season long. So Briar Cliff's defense actually played better than most in that game.
And here's a run as the quarterback put it in the belly of Simonson, And he got a big run all the way into the BCU territory at the 40 or at the 39-yard line. And again, the new quarterback, Jacob Coldingheis. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing the name right here. He's a freshman out of Omaha. Didn't expect to see him to play.
He held
today.
onto that ball and waited until someone got wrapped up, and it was him, so he let it go and let the running back take it.
And that time he tried to run the football himself. He got back to the line of scrimmage, and that is all. Robinson on the tackle there for BCU. We're at the 5-minute mark here in regulation. Chargers up 32-0. And I know this defense would like to keep that goose egg on the scoreboard until the final gun.
I'd have to double check, but I don't believe Briar Cliff has ever had 2 shutouts in a season. They do have 1 on the year, so potential for the first time getting that feat for the Chargers.
Quarterback run there, got about 3 yards or so. We examine the Chargers schedule. Yep, they blanked Dakota Wesleyan 47-0 here back on the 21st. Held Midland to 7, held Doane to 10.
That Dakota Wesleyan game, I think there was a safety, a special teams touchdown, a defensive touchdown. So not only did they hold Dakota Wesleyan to 0, the defense scored themselves.
Yep, and there's a quarterback run. He wanted to throw it and wisely didn't. And boy, things getting a little chippy out there. And there's some pushing and shoving going on. As that was John Satterley trying to push away one of the BCU players, Monteek Edwards. Punting unit coming on here now for Hastings.
Yeah, I think you're seeing some of the frustrations boil over for Hastings. Just a rough day at the office for these Broncos.
4th down and 7.
And they've had a rough stretch. We talked about it. Won their first 2 games of the year. Were receiving votes in the national polls, feeling pretty good about themselves, and really nothing's gone right for them since.
No, they're on the brink of losing 5 straight. Punt. Not very far, bouncing around the ground near the 15-yard line. And I think they got, they won their first 2 games against Oklahoma Panhandle State and against Jamestown, and then Concordia really took it to them 44-0. Doane beat them 37-12. Morningside 69-13, but that Midland score 61-20. And today they're getting blanked 32-0 here, and things just not going well for Hastings despite that great start.
Yeah, and I mean they have some players that are quality guys. It just seems like one facet of the game goes bad and then it just snowballs for them.
Yeah, they just quite haven't put it all together yet. As Collins Jones will be at quarterback and he'll hand off first man up the middle. I think that's Henry with the ball.
I think it might have been Stanton Lee back in.
Couldn't see here as he disappeared into the pile. It was Stanton Lee, you are correct, and got about 1.5 yards, maybe 2 on the play.
It's the 2nd week in a row that the Chargers have a lot of pink socks and shoes. Love to see a team supporting a great cause with breast cancer awareness. Of course, October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yep, you see that in the pros and in college sports as well, not just football. You see that in
last night
basketball.
Last night the volleyball team for Briar Cliff supported wore pink jerseys, and they raised some money to go to the American Cancer Society last night and had a special moment for one of their players, Noelle Phillips, a senior. Her mom is battling breast cancer back in Hawaii, so she was unable to travel to be at the game, but we sent a special message to her over the live stream. Again, we love when parents can stay at home and watch their sons and daughters play, and we definitely had our prayers sent out to the Phillips family as Chiho is dealing with breast cancer back in Hawaii.
Update for you here. It is Dordt ahead of Concordia, 35-0 that game in the 4th quarter. Got some stats from that I'll pass along to you here in a moment. And that is Williams with the ball, trapped in the backfield. He'll be swarmed under behind the line of scrimmage, lost a yard. In that game, in the games in the 4th quarter, Dordt outgaining Concordia 354-97.
That's impressive.
That is impressive. Dordt is a very good football team.
But, you think back again, we're talking about that Dakota Wesleyan game. Briar Cliff held Dakota Wesleyan to, I believe it was 47 yards of total offense in that game.
And that's with Luke Loudenberg, one of the top running backs in the country.
Yeah, it's just
The defense has been playing very, very stout.
Which I remember I wanted to look that up thinking, gosh, that's got to be a record. Actually, the record for fewest yards given up by Briar Cliff happened, I believe, in 2009. 29 yards was all they allowed in a win against Dort. And the funny thing is Dort scored in that game. Like, how?
When you get 29 yards, I don't know. That one does not compute as Briar Cliff calls a timeout here with just 1:21 left with the special teams coming out here, and we invite you to stick around here after the game concludes. We're going to run down some stats. We'll pass along whatever scores that we can get for you from across the GPAC and across the country here. Of course, major college football, big news, Kansas State knocking off number 5 Oklahoma 48-41. And when you look at the big-time college football, that opens up a playoff slot because you think Oklahoma with one loss is not going to, if they run the table the rest of the way, probably not going to get into the college football playoff.
Yeah, there's so much craziness that goes on. I mean, you look at Georgia when they got beat. What was that, a couple weeks ago? There just always seems to be at least one every week that just scratch your head about.
Look at this one rolling from the punt from Robinson as he flips the field again back to the 23-yard line. And I want to see his punting stats at the end of the game, folks. Stick around, folks, for the end of the game. The punting stats from Robert Robinson are going to be outstanding, I would think. He might be. Wouldn't it be something if he got Special Teams Player of the Week?
Just give him defensive, special teams. We'll just...
And Hastings comes out on offense here. And they have Collingham at quarterback, and he'll keep it on the run and get across the 30-yard line here as we're at the 1-minute mark.
There was Davenport again making a big hit from that safety position. Again, the reason he's playing defense is he's dealing with a wrist injury, so it's limiting him from being able to catch the football. But yet he can come out here on the defensive side and lay a lick. Love to see it. He's a football player, plain and simple.
Trying to find a way to contribute with the team, or to the team rather, as it's going to be number 21, Simonson on the carry, and doesn't get a whole lot here as we're under 30 seconds left to go in regulation. And we got a BCU player down. Hate to see that this late in the game, as a number of reserve players are in there for BCU defensively. And, of course, in this league, you need to have depth defensively. It's just not a situation where you got maybe 2 or 3 guys that come off the bench, throughout the course of a standard game. You got to have 8, 9 guys backing up those starting 11.
Yeah, and, I think that's something that Coach Wagner has brought that Briar Cliff may have been lacking. Last year was the first winning season in program history, and it's not that there weren't some stud athletes before. It was just they didn't have the backups. They didn't have the third string. And, you all of a sudden you deal with an injury and you're just done. And you want to have next man up, but you had guys playing out of position. You had guys trying to step up that weren't ready. And now this Briar Cliff team, I mean, I just look at the defensive front in particular. It's like a hockey team. You got 3 lines worth of defensive linemen that can come in and, as broadcasters, we always get our 2 deeps. You get the depth charts sent by the coaches. You have the starters and you have the backups. Well, you're going to be saying names that don't show up on the 2 deeps early in games because guys are just fighting for position and staying fresh out there. And just the depth that this Briar Cliff program has been able to get is something special.
And you have to have depth. It used to be on the defensive line. You had to rotate guys in and out. But the speed and the physicality of this league, you got to have depth at the secondary. You got to have depth at the linebackers. And you have to have depth on special teams as well. When you get, you've got to have those guys out there because it is a rough game. And again, I just speak anecdotally here, but it seems like we see more injuries now than maybe 15, 20 years ago. And again, you kind of view that through the prism of now, but I just think with the speed and the athleticism of the players, it does lead to more injuries because this is not a contact sport, it's a collision sport.
Yeah, and there are some big bodies flying around making hits, and we've even seen guys who they're the ones who lay the lick, and they're the ones that kind of deal with something. So it's a tough thing. And look at is that Robinson?
I think it is, and that is not good news for Briar Cliff as he is very slow to get up. And let's hope that young man is okay, but this is not a good sign as he is going to have to be helped off the field. And that is number 18, and I'm trying to see if he's favoring a leg or an arm. Boy, this could
obviously
be
we're not
bad
going to speculate anything, but just unfortunate for that young man who has just been a beast on that Briar Cliff defense. I mean, it just seems like week in and week out he's in the running for GPAC Defensive Player of the Week for doing something special, and like we said, being helped off the field.
Looks like he's favoring his left arm. And again, we'll have to wait and get an update here, but this could be a very critical blow to the BCU team because he has really been the heart and soul of that defense. He, along with Peyton Bailey, and Peyton's already missed some games and can't afford to have number 18 out for any length of time. Let's hope it's not as bad as it looks here. And you think about it, in the waning seconds of a game, you hate to see an injury like that. 20 seconds left. Hastings has the quarterback drop back to throw over the middle, and it's way over the head of the intended receiver. That's Javon Williams, the freshman out of Houston. Stops the clock with 10 seconds left.
3rd down and 10 for the Broncos.
And there, the pressure coming in from side. Robinson off the field, but the next batch of guys in, we talked about it, this depth, that defensive line still causing some pressure, making that quarterback maybe get rid of that a little sooner than he had hoped.
A.J. Carrion on the sideline on crutches. Number 80 for BCU, not a good sign there. As this might be the last play of the game, it's a long pass down the sideline into double coverage, intercepted by Davenport. Who says he can't catch the football?
Throw him back in that wide receiver spot. He can catch it just fine.
With 2 seconds left, another turnover by Hastings, and Cameron Davenport gets his first interception of the season as that pass was thrown into double coverage.
Yeah, Hastings just trying to do anything with it, see if they couldn't get on the scoreboard, but no luck there. And 2 seconds left on the clock. We'll expect to see the victory formation, one kneel down, and the Chargers looking to pick up shutout number 2 on the season. And again, folks, this is a team that 2 years ago ranked at or near the bottom in pretty much every statistical category on defense, and now showing to be one of the nation's best. What a turnaround for the Chargers.
They will go in the victory formation as Collins Jones will take a knee, and that will do it, ladies and gentlemen. The final score, Briar Cliff 32, Hastings nothing. And for the Chargers, they improved to 5-3 on the season, 4-2 in conference play. And for head coach Tony Harper, his team falls to 2-5. They've lost 5 in a row, and they are 1-5 in GPAC play. Hopefully we'll get some stats here in just a moment. Our stats guy working very hard at the moment to get everything compiled, I should say. And hey, we got a final score in from the GPAC. Northwestern defeats Doane today, 23-3, the final score in that particular contest. And we do have some stats here. And Kevin, I'll turn that duty over to you.
Yeah, looking first, we'll go team statistics. First downs, Briar Cliff with the edge, 17-12. In rushing, Hastings ran the ball 38 times for 103 yards. Meanwhile, Briar Cliff had 31 carries for 179 yards. Passing yards, Briar Cliff with the advantage, 185-88. So that means total yards for Hastings. They ran 66 plays. So the Broncos actually ran more offensive plays than the Chargers, but Hastings took those 66 plays for 191 yards compared to 364 yards for the blue and gold. Looking at some of these other things. Third down conversions, Hastings was 3 of 17, Briar Cliff 4 of 12. 1 of 3 on fourth down conversions for Hastings, 1 of 2 for Briar Cliff. Red zone scores and chances, 4 red zone opportunities for Briar Cliff, and they capitalized each time for touchdowns. Hastings did not get to the red zone. Great job by the Briar Cliff defense. Individual stats for Briar Cliff, leading rusher today was Greg Henry. He had 17 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Williams, he had 8 carries. They went for 70 yards and a score. Looking for Hastings, they were led 67 yards on 11 carries by Brett Simonson. Passing-wise, Preston Mulligan, 16 of 31, so completing more than half of his passes. Those went for 185 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Rashad Brown was the leading target. He had 7 receptions for 40 yards and a couple of scores. Greg Henry had 43 yards receiving, so he actually led the team in yardage-wise on his 2 catches. Steinhaus for Hastings, he's been the leading receiver in the conference. He was limited to just 3 catches. Those did go for 48 yards. Robert Robinson was the leading tackler in the game. He had 14 tackles, including 2 sacks. Peyton Bailey had 10 tackles for the blue and gold. Tyler Pulaski, was the leading tackler for Hastings with 8 tackles.
And a final score to pass along to you here. Midland over Jamestown today, 42-14, the final there. Halfway through the 4th, it's Morningside way out in front of Dakota Wesleyan, 69-0. And Dort in the 4th quarter is leading against Concordia 35-0. So that's the status as we have it around the GPAC at the moment. For major college football, Auburn jumps out in front of LSU, 3-0. That's early in the 2nd quarter. Penn State early in the 2nd in front of Michigan State, 13-0. Texas and TCU early in the 2nd tied at 10. Minnesota pulling away from Maryland, 21-0. That game in the 2nd quarter. It's Oklahoma State leading on the road at Iowa State. 12 minutes left to go until halftime. 14-7. Big upset today. Kansas State over number 5 Oklahoma, 48-41. Ohio State rolls by number 13 Wisconsin, 38-7. Number 20 Iowa beats Northwestern today by a score of 20-0. Let's see if we can get some updates from the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Youngstown State ahead of Western Illinois, 45-7 at the half. Last time we had an update from Brookings, it was 6-0 South Dakota State ahead of North Dakota State. Let's see if we can get an update there on that particular contest. That's number 1 versus 3. Now it is 6-3 Jackrabbits over the Bison at halftime. And it is Northern Iowa at the break over Missouri State, 19-0. So Briar Cliff, they have one more home game left. That'll be against Northwestern next Saturday, 1 o'clock, the kickoff. That'll be senior day for BCU, so make sure you come out and check things out. Basketball gets underway for Briar Cliff this week. The women, they are on the road on Monday night. They will play against Dakota State. That game will be in Madison. That is a 6 o'clock start time. Men will open up Tuesday night at home, and that will be against Graceland University. That'll be at the Newman Flanagan Center. That'll be at 7 o'clock, and that game will be here online on the BCU Chargers Sports Network. So 32-0, the final score. It is Briar Cliff now 5-3 on the season. And for Hastings, the losing streak continues. They have lost 5 games in a row. They are 2-5 on the season. And we thank you for tuning in today from a wonderful sunny day here in Sioux City at Memorial Field. The last home game comes up next week. We hope you can tune in. Justin Barker will be back at the controls next week, or at least that's the plan. If not, then yours truly will be here. And again, to find out everything that's going on with Briar Cliff Athletics, go to that webpage, bcuchargers.com. And also for everything happening in the Great Plains Athletic Conference, it's gpacksports.com. 32-0, our final score. Chargers with the victory today. Signing off from Memorial Field here in Sioux City. For Kevin Pottebaum, I'm Steve Toom. You've been watching Briar Cliff football on the Chargers Sports Network. Good afternoon, everybody.